Hi, I'm Edwin Yevans,
And I am Jack Searon
and welcome back.
to 950 Club.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
All right, Jack, we're going to be talking about our favorite shows of the winter 2023 season. And what a stacked season it is.
I had to confess to Edwin, ever since doing this podcast, we've done many catch ups, many season reviews. This one, without a doubt, has been the best one.
I can agree with that. I mean, we are spoiled this season
Yeah.
with a plethora of great shows.
Like, all these shows are not exactly like the greatest of the greats, but something about the consistency, something about the build of each show, and how surprising it is in each genre. It's pretty remarkable.
Well, I think this season is going to give us material for the rest of the year.
Yeah, sadly. And it's
Yeah.
like, okay, are we really tapped out? Because spring season's coming up, and oh my God. Talking about another stacked season.
I'm tired already.
Yeah. And this whole season, mind you, we haven't recorded in a while because these shows just hammered on us. We had specials planned and everything, but like something about these shows in particular made us really want to watch each episode and concentrate on too.
Yeah, I mean, I had anywhere from when I started out the first, in January, I was trying to watch 25 shows.
Yeah.
And I just realized that this was not going to work.
No.
It's not feasible. Yeah.
Even the ones we like, we had to put a pause on. Some shows were delayed, like Near Automata. Kubo Won't Let Me Be Invisible. Unfortunately, with Japan, they're still handling the COVID crisis. They're still handling it quite well, but that shows the difference in cultures, unfortunately, and they take the most practical route.
Well, the studios this season, I mean, I don't know if maybe they need to slow down a
That
little
too.
bit because
Yeah.
it just seemed like there were so many shows.
Yeah. Newer studios making new productions. The old ones, the good ones, they're cooking with good shows around the horizon. It just doesn't stop.
Yeah.
And especially with the likes of Netflix and Hulu ante up their anime game.
Well, I think the demand is up.
Yeah.
But I think that too, that just having fewer streams now that it's Crunchyroll, High Dive,
Yeah.
like you said, Netflix, maybe Amazon.
Amazon has a good roster.
Yeah, and then I think Xbox has gotten into the game.
Yeah.
Of
And if I'm not mistaken, Sony with Crunchyroll doing their thing eventually. Yeah.
so everybody's in the anime game now.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, how do they keep up with the demand for so much anime?
Yeah.
But also it's like an explosion. But it's like the good thing is that a lot of these are good quality anime.
They've gotten better.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, there's some stuff where it's like meh, but I think most of the shows that I've checked out have been pretty good, and I've kept watching the ones that hooked me.
Yeah.
But there's some that were like very artistic, and I'm like, wait, I might have to spend some time this year going back and figuring out how to watch these shows like Beast of Ours.
Yeah, that one.
Yeah, and then there's a few others. There's I think two others that I can't remember the titles to right now, but I remember I'm like, these are beautiful looking anime that I kind of want to go back and check out.
That's me with Fire Hunter, and that's me with...
That's one of them.
Yeah, Fire Hunter is the most unique of the bunch, and it's not the highest produced one, but it shows a lot of love and care, and it's a grand, epic story at the end of the day.
Yeah, that one seemed very interesting.
Yeah. And then the other one, Chillin in My 30s, is definitely like... that one at least feels like the lowest budget production, but it does everything you can expect out of an anime, at least for a modern day anime.
I like that one. I'm mostly caught up on it. It doesn't do a lot of stuff that's original.
Yeah.
But what it does well.
Yeah.
And it's a fun watch.
Yeah.
It's a fun watch. It wasn't. I thought it would have been a little bit more tongue-in-cheek humor, but it's pretty standard. But it's fun to watch.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that one's one of the ones where a lot of these shows, like Beast of Ours or Chillin' in My 30s after being fired from the Demon Lord's army, they're straight up fantasy.
Yeah.
I mean, they're not isekai, which I was like, all right, cool.
Yeah. Even Sugar Apple Fairy Tale. That one's
Another fantasy.
Yeah. And it's kind of encompasses the other genres too in its own right. So
Yeah, kind of like a really beautiful, kind of like romantic fantasy.
yeah.
Yeah. Which I was like, okay, cool.
In the likes of Princess Bride, Snow White, you name it. Yeah.
Well, they're definitely going for that fairy tale vibe and feel. Yeah. Like, that's one of the most beautiful fairy wings I've ever seen in my life.
In general, and like there's cartoony sides, but once you get to the open road and the open world type of environment, oh my God, it's impressive.
Well, you get drama, betrayal.
Yeah. And it's a very dark show, even though it's about fairies.
Well, I mean, most fairy tales, before Disney, most fairy tales were pretty dark.
Good observation. I agree.
Yeah. I mean, Disney took it, in a more lighthearted.
Pinocchio.
Well, I mean,
Little Mermaid.
Their films and movies were aimed at kids,
Yeah.
I mean, people of all ages love them. I mean, I love The Little Mermaid.
Yeah.
That's one of my favorites. And Coco.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, originally fairy tales were usually pretty dark because they were meant to teach some kind of lesson.
Yeah. In Pinocchio, for example, that one's more like it's not even a kid's book at all. It's just the concept. Walt Disney was like, let's just make it into a cute little puppet.
Yeah.
Because if you read the story, you have been warned.
Well, like we said with most.
Yep.
All right, so I'm going to do my Isekai roundup now. So this season, there was a lot of fantasy shows. There was still quite a few Isekai. I'm going to cover some of the meh, and then go into like some of the better ones that they had.
It's a relatively small lineup for this season.
Yeah, I was kind of surprised because I'm used to there being like so much Isekai.
Ever since recording this podcast, you would have at least on average, at least 8 Isekai.
I know, right?
Yeah, roughly.
A season.
Roughly,
yeah. Yeah, not all of them were great.
Yeah.
Some of them were like, eh.
That's why the season is genuinely surprising. I mean, once you hear later down in the podcast, you'll know.
I'd say that the weakest of the bunch, actually, there's not one where I would say like, oh, yeah, don't watch that.
Yeah.
I mean, the reincarnation of the strongest exorcist in another world was pretty cool.
Okay.
And it kind of plays into Reborn to Master the Blade, from Hero King to Extraordinary Squire. And so you have these two characters that were both kind of like at the top of their game in their respective worlds. And one of the cool things about these is that they're not reincarnated from our world. They're reincarnated from their respective worlds. And in Reincarnation of the Strongest Exorcist, he was like the strongest. Like, he was so strong that everybody was like, we got to take him out.
Like Eminence of Shadow.
Yeah, it's like, we got to take him out. And Eminence of Shadow, Jesus. We have to do a whole episode just on Eminence of Shadow.
Fair. Because that'll be my dive into it, to be honest. Yeah.
Oh, that show is nuts.
Yeah.
Imagine trying, okay.
Oh, no.
Let me not get started because, yeah, that show's crazy.
Oh, man.
But with Reincarnated Strongest Exorcist, you have a main character who, he was like the strongest character. He was like the strongest exorcist in his world. And so everybody's like, kill him.
Yeah.
Take him out. And so he's reborn in this world, and his strategy is like he's going to be behind the scenes. He's not going to be the strongest because that way people won't, target him. So he, hides behind the hero, which I thought was really cool. But it's really cool to see him use his magic from his world in this world. And so that's really cool. That plays out, and it's pretty standard. You have he has his slave girl, which, what are you going to do? But she's his servant, and he doesn't like take advantage of that situation.
Yeah.
And that's one of the things I like about this season of anime. There's not a lot of like the tropes are there, but they're not played to the extreme.
Yeah.
The way they have been in some seasons.
It's playing it safe in a way.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I don't want to say wholesome, but I will say that this is the most, except for the violence in some anime, I'll say that this is probably one of the most, I don't want to say PG seasons.
I would attest to
But,
that.
like, yeah.
And Isekai is definitely one of the few genres that goes to that limit, beyond the limit,
Yeah.
with violence at least. And we got campfire cooking from another world and chilling in my 30s, taking
Yeah.
it back, Isekais.
Well, I think if you're gonna, the one that does it the most,
Ooh.
and not in a,
I think I know where you're going with that one.
not in a, well, I'm not gonna go with that one.
Oh, okay.
I'm not going there, man. But I'm gonna stay in Isekai because I'm not gonna talk about the one show that really crosses the line this season.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I'm gonna.
That one.
I'm leaving that one alone. Yeah. Protect your dogs, people.
Oh, no.
Respect them.
Respect them and treat them right.
Yeah. Okay, so now Reborn to Master the Blade from Hero King to Extraordinary Squire. If that one has a little bit of like questionable content, but it's played for humor mostly.
Okay.
So it's like, okay, I get it. But in that one, you also have a character. Essentially, he's the king of his nation, and he passes away. And he said he realizes that he was never able to fight on the front lines the way he wanted to. And so he's reincarnated as a female in another world, and he becomes a total battle junkie.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Yeah. He's essentially still the strongest character in this reincarnated world, but he's trying to hide the fact the way the Exorcist did in order to live out his life as, as a frontline fighter. Yeah. And
That's the only one I missed. I should have watched that one.
I like that one. I like the two main characters. They're very they're just two battle junkies. They're looking for the biggest fights they can find, and they're just it's hilarious because it's these two women. They're grown up together, and they're essentially just part of it is them traveling to the capital to get to the academy.
Yeah.
And they're just eating and fighting their way through the country.
Yeah.
And it's like this is pretty awesome, So it's like, okay, it's been fun to watch.
Does it involve food porn?
Not as much. Not to the level of other shows.
It's just like eating.
Yeah. They're like stacks of bowls everywhere. And everybody's like, you guys are eating again?
Oh, no. Princess Pecorine from Princess Connect will have to challenge them.
Definitely. That will be a throwdown. All right, so let's move on to what some of the others. Saving 80,000 gold in another world for my retirement.
This one's interesting.
Yeah, I'm like, it's not an isekai. It's not a reincarnation isekai.
It's like you feel like it's an isekai, but it's not an isekai.
It is because she goes to another world.
Oh, there you go. Yeah.
But she realizes that so the weird thing is she gains the power to travel between worlds from a spirit, and she gains quick healing and the ability to travel to other worlds.
The essentials.
The essentials.
Yeah.
And so she just sets up a shop in another world, and people are like, what is this stuff? They're like, how are you getting fish this far inland? And she's like, wink, wink,
Oh, it's similar to mine in a sense of bookworm. Only the inventor knows.
Yeah. Well, she's not even the inventor. She's just wholesale bringing content.
Yeah.
She's able to essentially do a quantum leap into another world.
Yeah.
And she's bringing stuff. She brought solar panels and pistols and hairpins and knives, and she brought stuff to sell to adventurers. So each arc is essentially okay, she's
getting the most profit.
Well, she's getting the most profit, but she's also trying to find her customer base.
Ah, there you go.
Yeah, it's like, all right, who am I going to sell this to? Who am I going to sell this to? So the first arc was like, okay, I'm going to sell to the aristocracy, and this time like I'm going to sell to adventurers, and I don't know what the next or final arc is going to be, but it's pretty cool. I mean, it's fun to watch. I mean, if you're looking for like if you like that kind of anime,
Yeah, Spice and Wolf ethos.
well, you get to there's another one called By the Grace of the Gods.
That one as well. Yes,
Yeah, that one's back for season 2. He's running another laundry shop. He's inventing all different kinds of stuff again. So you get more of the same that you got in the first season.
Yeah.
That one's a cute one. It's fun. It's harmless.
The first season was like 2 years ago, 3 years ago.
It might have been 2 years ago.
Roughly 2, I think.
Yeah. Because it's been a while. And
Yeah.
it takes some time
Yeah.
to get these things out here. Then we jump to I did like Farming Life in Another World. That's a cool one.
Yeah.
So the god in that world tells him like, look, I gave you the karma that I should have given somebody else.
Yeah, he had a really bad
He had a horrible life.
Yeah.
And the god's like, wait, you weren't supposed to have the horrible life. Somebody else was.
Yeah.
I apologize. So he essentially sets him up in this world. But then he puts him in the middle of like Death Valley.
Yeah.
Of this fantasy world where like all the monsters are OP and somehow he manages to tame them all.
Yeah.
And it's hilarious because essentially I've never seen any anime I've seen harems.
Yeah.
Right? Like,
yeah.
I mean, anywhere from 5 to 7. This guy has an entire town.
A village.
Essentially, yeah.
Yeah.
No, I'd say a town. Like a fucking town, man.
Yeah.
Like there's like 100 women in this town. And it's like 100 women to one guy. And he's like, how am I gonna what?
Yeah, nah.
And so it's funny. One of the funniest things is like toward the middle of the season, he meets these beastmen who have come to trade. And they're like, yeah, some of our people would like to, request to move to your village. And the guy's like, all right, fine. And so they tell him, well, yeah, it's 20 women. he's like, look, they can move to the town, but at least 5 of them have to be male. They have, they have to be male.
Just as, yeah.
To balance it out. He doesn't want to be alone with like, over 100 women. It's a lot.
It could be problematic.
And so they send him 5 males, but it's 4 children. And he's like, what am I going to do now?
You have to take care of him with the women.
Yeah. And then you have the drunken dragon who shows up.
Yes.
Yeah. And of course, his wife and his daughter show up to find out where he's been going all the time. Like, what are you doing here? He's like, I'm just getting drunk and passing out.
That's all.
And of course, then, his daughter has to live there because,
you got to balance it.
Isekai. Hey, anime. What are you going to do?
Yeah.
So I don't know where this one's going to go, but it's been fun to watch. It's been funny.
It's an impressive debut episode. I do admit that.
Yeah, it was fun. I mean, it's funny.
Yeah.
It's funny to see how everyone else is looking at him and his village because he just keeps attracting the most powerful women in this kingdom to his side, whether it be the 3 angels of death or the 2 vampire sisters and now the dragon, and everybody else is like, oh no, the Demon King's army is like, at one point, one of the men from the Demon King's army, he's like, I quit. He's like, I quit. There's no way we can deal with these people. Yeah. So that one's been fun to watch. But like I said, it's harmless. It's fun. Most of it, the whole harem thing and the costumes, it's like, you get there, it's pretty much harmless.
Yeah.
It doesn't get extreme.
Compared to like Chillin in My Theories, the one character, she's even lewder. Yeah.
Yeah, she is.
Oh.
Yeah. And then at some point he realizes that's okay with him. Yeah. That he's like, wait, maybe I do have a preference.
I deserve it. I had a horrible life in my previous life.
Well, he actually, I think that he enjoyed Daniel, I think is his name. He liked being a soldier. He brought people together and he kept things functioning for the Demon King. And so when his son fires him, he's kind of like, dude, what did you do? Do you know the epic? Do you know the epic? Just the epic screw up that you just made, the epic mistake that you just made, and the Demon King's son like, no, you have to let me do it on my own. And his father's just like, you're an idiot.
Yep.
It's like, bring Daniel back because I mean he's done a lot for this town. He's essentially they made him the mayor.
Yeah.
And that one surprisingly isn't an isekai.
Well, straight up fantasy. We're talking
Yeah.
about Chillin in my 30s.
Yeah, after being fired from the Demon Court, the
another-
Demon King's army.
Yeah, another impressive first episode too. I would say.
Yeah.
Because you have that instance of him just being banished, but then the Demon King castle being like, "Oh my God, we need this guy back."
It's like, why did you fire him? Get him back now. And so little by little, I think where this will play out is that he will be able to bring peace between like the humans and the demons.
Yeah.
Yeah, because essentially they're not really demons. They're essentially just another nation.
It's similar to a sleeping princess in a demon castle.
Yeah.
Kind of like there's a truce and there's no harm, no foul.
Yeah. Well, this, I think, the hero just shows up. It's more of a politics thing.
That too, yeah.
Yeah, because the hero isn't even sure why she's fighting.
Yeah.
And so Daniel realizes it's like, if I can convince her that, not to do this, then maybe I can bring peace between the two factions.
Yeah.
And that would be epic,
Yeah.
So that one's, like I said, none of these are like extremely crazy. They don't get too,
But yeah, it makes it stronger for the season. That's what I like about it. At least you can put one time to 4 episodes in a row for one show, then another 4 for the other. Like you don't have to catch up for every episode. That overwhelms you too. So
it can if you fall behind.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
You fall behind and you're out of luck
because the next season is just around the corner.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's stacked, man.
Wow.
So I talked about By the Grace of the Gods.
Yes.
And so let's jump into Bofuri. I don't want to get hurt, so I maxed out my defense.
It's similar to Konosuba, which I'm catching up finally. Yeah. This one I've always put him in my back burner because the season just came out. I'm like, okay, I'll start from the beginning because I haven't seen season 1.
Well, this show is it's like lighthearted fun.
Yeah.
Your main character, Maple, essentially broke the game. She broke the game by maxing out her defense, and she's just...
Specifically defense.
Yeah.
Wow.
Oh, yeah. I mean, she didn't want to get hurt. It's a VR game. And so she's like, I don't want to get hurt. And so she maxed out her defenses. And so to the point where any low-level creature that tried to attack her would just die.
Yeah.
Yeah, like if slimes tried to attack her, if they tried to attack her, she didn't even have to lift her sword. She would just put her hand over her head, and then boom, they would disappear. And she's like, "Wait, what happened?"
That's smart.
Yeah, no. So she was just walking around bumping into creatures, and she kept leveling up. The avatars that controlled the game, the administrators were like, "What's happening? That's not supposed to happen." And so she just defended herself and ate her way through the game because when
eating creatures or
wow, when she couldn't because she doesn't have any attack strength. So if they didn't die when she hit them, she said, "Oh, I'm gonna eat them," and she did.
Yeah.
And when she did, she gained their powers. She gained shields. It's just insane, and she manages to find missions that are in the game but that nobody else finds, and she just becomes OP. She becomes like this insanely OP character in the game, to the point where she's like everybody wants to face off against her because she's essentially so OP that she's like a mini boss within the game. And then she forms her own guild, and the second season is about essentially her and her guild making their way through the rest of the game, and her kind of like becoming friends with some of her rivals from the first season.
Okay, yeah.
And I'm sure that's preparing for a big boss fight toward the end of the season.
Okay.
Because that's usually the way this
similar
works.
Overlord then.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Oh yeah, we're gonna see some huge big boss fight at the end of the season where they're all gonna have to work together. But yeah, no, I mean this show has always been fun.
Yeah, it's always been highlighted as like one of the best isekai, or at least most under the radar one.
Well, it's very cute. It's very chill.
Yeah.
It's kind of like the VR version of Laid Back Camp. You
Yeah.
know,
Okay.
you're just they're just there having fun. There's a few laughs, and yeah, I mean, if you don't want anything that's too action packed, but that's kind of chill, it's perfect.
All right. Nice. Nice. And I'll dive into it as soon as I can.
Cool. And then let's go into my two favorites of this season. One of them has a really long title, and the other one does not.
Well, let's hear it out.
All right, so let's go with the magical revolution of the reincarnated princess and the genius young lady.
This one's an interesting one.
Yeah, so this one blends a few different genres because you have the
Court drama.
you have the genius young lady. So you're like you almost have the reincarnated villainess
Ah,
who isn't a villainess,
yes.
but is being played. But then you also have the reincarnated heroine who just happens to be the princess.
Yeah, and she doesn't remember. Like, it's a theory that she's Isekai.
Well, she has memories of flying. And when she has that flashback, it very much looks like our world.
Yeah.
So you're like, oh, okay, she was reincarnated because she doesn't have any magic the way everyone else in this world does.
Yes.
And so she's trying to create something called magicology, which is the study of magic, but being applied to everyday devices.
Yes.
So she's essentially making like blow dryers and like toasters
Oh yeah.
and different things that use magic that are powered by magic, but can do,
They're not feasible in the world.
well, they're for everybody.
Yeah,
She's bringing magic essentially to everybody.
Yeah.
Her revolution is bringing magic to, people who don't have it. And the aristocracy has pretty much become divided. The ruling class pretty much is those who have magic, and then the people who are the people who don't have magic.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And so she's trying to even the playing field. And of course, the ruling class doesn't want that. Yeah. The crazy thing is, though, her brother is trying to do the same thing, but in a more violent way.
Yeah, unfortunately, and it's a good contrast. It's a show that you don't expect to have that type of villain. It's pretty
Yeah.
impressive.
Yeah. I kind of think that he's under the influence of somebody else.
Yeah, he's not exactly a villain, but he's definitely swayed.
Well, this is the situation where he's watched his older sister kind of like excel at everything,
Yeah.
but then she doesn't want anything. She abdicated any chance of being on the throne in order to follow her pursuit of this magical studies.
Yeah.
And so her brother has seen her like excel at everything and then throw away the one thing that he wanted. So it was kind of like a slap in the face to him.
Yeah.
And in the meanwhile, he's been scheming to, have this revolution. And so when they talk about revolution, you have two. You have hers and then you have his. And it's becoming a battle between the two of them. And she keeps taking his cast-offs.
Yeah.
Like his fiance, she rescues her.
Yeah.
Then the girl that he left the fiance for, she rescues her.
Her influence and power still is around, and that's the fascinating aspect of the show.
Well, she has kind of like, she's like off in her, like her dad, like has her off in a corner.
He's interesting.
He is an interesting.
Yeah.
Well, he's interesting because he's not, he's very much a three-dimensional, he's got depth for character.
Surprisingly.
Yeah. I wasn't expecting that.
Yeah.
Usually the kings in a lot of isekai are just like,
It's almost like the only function of the king.
yeah, it's like they've been isekai'd or, like whatever,
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, we isekai'd you to defeat the demon lord, and then that's it. Then the king goes away.
Just don't go back to the other world, please.
Yeah, that's like, save us, please.
Then we'll give you wards and stuff.
There you go. And so he's very much her dad.
Yeah.
Like, he's very much
That's
her dad.
first and foremost, he's the dad.
Yeah. He's very much the father of his children, and he gets frustrated with her behavior.
Yeah.
But at the same time, you can tell that he cares about his children.
Yeah.
And he doesn't want them to fail. This show is really weird.
It's a roller coaster of a show. There's good episodes and bad episodes. Well, not bad, but like weird turns of episodes.
Well, it's not that it's weird turns, it's the focus.
Yeah.
The show the reason the show is weird because it's just a weird show.
It is very.
But it's weird in a good way. What ends up happening is that you have this court drama, but then you have like this magic girl like vibe to it with her like broom
Yeah.
and her like magic swords.
A little bit of girl love too.
Definitely. Well, she tells her. I remember, there's this one episode, this one scene where she runs into her dad's office and she's like, I'm gonna marry a girl. She's like, I'm gonna marry a girl. That's
don't
it.
care.
She don't care. She's like, Daddy. And he's like, what? I'm gonna marry a girl. And he's like, oh.
That's what I like about the Dad of the King, and it's because he wants both his son and his daughter to grow and to figure out things in a weird way.
Yeah. And so she just keeps picking up these girls who get, whose hearts, who her brother keeps using and tossing to the side.
Yep. Yeah.
But it's not played for laughs. It's really not. It's really, those moments are very tender.
Yeah, and the ridiculous
surprisingly.
the ridiculous moments are kind of like circled in like 2 seconds kind of thing.
Well, the ridiculous moments are there for comic relief.
Yeah.
But you get these tender moments of, like women trying to figure out their place in life.
Yeah.
And it's very, it's kind of touching and kind of endearing.
Yeah.
But those scenes are sometimes, it's hard. It's like, okay, what am I watching? Like it starts out with a lot of action and then it leads into like court drama. And then it's about, female empowerment.
Character studies.
Yeah. Some serious character studies.
Yeah.
About who are they. But then you get that shift back into the action.
In the story.
Back into the humor.
Yeah.
And then you go back to the character studies. And so it's like this constantly shifting thing where it's not like you can't just sit there and say, oh, I know what's going to happen next. No, you don't.
No.
You really don't.
Case in point, the 7th and 8th episodes. We're recording around the 9th week. 9th episode, I believe, is around the corner. Overall, like, these 2 episodes are like, this is the show. And people have been ranking it high.
Yeah.
Like, top of the season high.
Yeah, I like this almost as much as I liked Licorice Recoil.
Yeah, and same dynamics as that. If you like Licorice Recoil, there you go. This is a perfect seamless transition.
I think so. Well, the main character reminds me of Shisato so much.
And friend too.
Yeah.
Yeah. Takuma. Yeah. The vampire.
She's the one who studies the dark magic.
There you go. The dark magic. My mistake.
Yeah, I'm like, oh my god, it's Shisato and Takina. I'm like, they've been transported to another world.
Yeah, it's becoming a trope. Bubbly girl to tsundere.
Well, that's always been a thing.
Yeah.
But they play it kind of the way that they played it in Licorice Recoil.
Yeah.
And it's like, it's so similar that it was kind of like, wait, did I miss something?
Yeah, one's blonde, one's a brunette.
Yeah, it's so, but their demeanor is so similar too.
Uh-huh.
And I'm like, wait, did they just watch? I mean, they couldn't have just watched the show and then made this anime. But it feels it feels like the spiritual sequel.
Yeah.
To Licorice Recoil.
Isekai, far removed.
Yeah, but you're like, there you are, and people are taking to it. People are liking it quite a bit, and it's one of my favorites this season.
Yeah, for good reason. I've enjoyed it too.
Yeah, and so the one that I think manages to do the best isekai turn this season is Campfire Cooking in Another World.
Yes,
Yeah.
This one. Once you watch the first episode, you're going to see the first 4 or 5. I guarantee it.
Yeah, it's by Mappa. I had read the light novel, and then when the manga came out, I read a few issues of the manga, and I was hooked. This one's really good.
Yeah, I remember sometime last year you discussed that it was becoming an anime. Like, oh, I can't wait.
Yeah.
I didn't know it was going to be in the winter season. I'm like, oh, okay.
Yeah, neither did I. I didn't know it was coming out this soon.
Yeah.
But yeah, this one's great. So it starts out where he's essentially reincarnated. This one kingdom reincarnates these high school kids.
Yes.
And he's just a salaryman standing in the background.
In his 30s.
Yeah, he's like, what just happened? Where am I?
Yeah, the party is like in front of the king, bowing down.
Yeah, you have three. You
The
have
party,
the
essentially.
hero and the two girls. They've been reincarnated, and they're bowing down to the king, and he's just like,
He's wearing a suit and tie. It's kind of like, hey, am I lost or anything?
yeah. He's like, oh no. He's like, have I been transported to another world?
Yep.
Oh, those kids look like I'm getting out of here.
He doesn't even want to have like a role.
No. He pretty much realizes pretty quickly that he wants nothing to do with whatever's going on over there.
However, he does have a gift of a skill.
Yeah, he has appraisal, so he can appraise people.
Yes.
And he has a pretty large item box, which is unusual. But he also has the online shopping skill.
The online shopping skill.
Yeah, so he can essentially bring up
Amazon. Think of Amazon. You can order whatever you want.
Pretty much.
Yep.
He can shop from Amazon in another world. He has to insert money into the screen.
Yeah.
But he can buy whatever he wants from another world, or from our world.
Early on, you get confused with how much money he has, and they explain along the way.
Well, he gets acclimated pretty quickly.
Very.
He buys clothes.
Yeah.
And he realizes,
He's away from the castle. He's like, I'm not even dealing with fighting monsters.
Well, he wants to get as far away from the kingdom and the demon lord as he can because
so
he doesn't want to get embroiled in any of that.
Yeah, and he finds out along the way that there's going to be taxation.
Well, he runs into a lot of people who are also, they're like, we're getting out.
Yes.
We're getting out while we can.
Yeah.
And so he hires a team of adventurers to lead him to the next town so that he can escape.
Yeah.
And as he's cooking for them, they're like, wait, what? How is this bread so soft? Because they're used to
hard dry bread.
Yeah, hard dry bread with aged cheese and aged meat. And he's just whipping up meals that you can't even get in restaurants.
Stir fry, essentially, Japanese cooking 101.
Mm-hmm. And it's at that moment where he realizes that the items from another world give stat bonuses.
Yes, and with his appraisal, you can see the stats are growing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And so, on his trip, while he's cooking, he attracts the attention of Fenrir.
The ancient wolf.
Yep. Who's been graced by the goddess of the wind. And he is absolutely non-pulsed, but the adventurers are terrified. They're like, do you know who that is? And he looks and he's like, where is everybody? And Fenrir's like, I smell something delicious. Did you make this food?
I've been observing you. I think I want to try your food.
Yes. Let us form a pact. I will become your familiar. He's like, to eat the food?
After eating a whole, millions of pounds of meat. Makes the best beef imaginable. And right then there, they make a pact.
Yeah. No, because he's like, you will cook for me. And he turns around to look at the adventurers, and they're nodding their heads.
Say yes.
Do it.
Say yes.
Say yes. Like, don't say no to him. And it becomes this adventure through this fantasy world where, he's learning magic. He's talk about food porn.
This is for food, foodie food.
Food porn. Yeah, this is like nonstop food porn coming at you left and right.
It shows you at least how to use oils right. It teaches you how to
I was
marinate.
I was like, I want to use some of that garlic paste or the ginger and
beef.
The
beef. I keep on forgetting the name of it. Kubo beef or small thin Japanese beef.
Yeah, cut into really thin slices. Yeah. I'm like, everything on there. I'm like, wait, what's he doing this season? It's like watching a cooking show, and you're like, all right, what's he doing? What's he gonna make this time?
And he's changing the recipe every time.
Yeah.
And how he gets the meats and the delicacies is from the fantasy monsters that Fenrir kills.
Yeah. And he always thinks, is this gonna taste good? And then it always does.
Orc.
Yeah. He's like, I don't know if I want to eat orc meat. They look like people.
It's just like premium pork.
And he tells him, don't people raise cattle for food? He's like, no, they just kill monsters.
Yeah, and that's why they think that the food he gets from the other world tastes really good.
Yeah,
because they never had it before.
No. he's like, in your world, you raise animals just for food?
Yeah.
And he's like, yeah, don't you?
The normalcies in each world is fascinating.
So it continues on like that. And then this was just a lot of fun. You've got the food porn, you've got the adventure,
Yeah,
you've got the fights.
The adventure thing is awesome too because he had to choose between two guilds, and he happens to do both, the Merchants Guild and the Adventurers Guild. Mm-hmm. And I found that fascinating too. And the guild masters there were really cute.
Yes, yes. It's been fun to watch, and I'm interested to see where it goes. This was my favorite between the Magical Revolution of the Reincarnated Princess. I think that one is my favorite Isekai this season.
Yeah. But it's not exactly an Isekai per se.
That's right. Yeah. That's right. And that's why it's like, but if you want like a full-on Isekai experience that I think you'll enjoy, if you like laid back camp, you'll love Campfire Cooking in Another World.
In the same vein as kind of like refreshing Isekai with the likes of Reincarnated as a Sword and Skeleton Knight from Another World. Kind of like it's Isekai, but a new adventure awaits.
Yeah. And so that's my Isekai roundup. I have an honorable mention, Handyman Saito in Another World.
Yes.
That one is weird because it's you can tell that it's based off of like short little comic strips, but that one's worth watching too.
Yeah.
That one's a lot of fun. It handles things. That one is more of a party adventure, which none of these other ones kind of like go in that direction.
Yeah.
Because you have him, you have the knight, you have the wizard, and then the fairy. And it kind of plays off of the dungeon crawling and how Saito can help them as a handyman. And he kind of becomes the cornerstone of their adventuring group.
Yeah.
And as the season progresses, I think you're going to see him kind of become the cornerstone of this. He might form his own guild.
Yeah.
Yeah, which I think would be a good way for that show, a good direction for that show to go in.
Yeah.
But not only that, but also like his earnestness, you kind of can't help but like root for him.
Yeah, it's genuine.
Yeah, it's So that one's I want the romance to blossom between him and the knight.
It's almost like a romance isekai. That's refreshing.
A little bit, not. Well, it's like these, just these short little stories that you get, but it's great the way it plays out.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And that is the Isekai Roundup from Edwin. Hey. And even though it wasn't like strong per se, quite impressive in my book. And from there, we go from Jack's Slice of Life Vending Machine Corner.
All right, Jack.
Alrighty. This was huge.
This season, yeah.
Yeah. It was so huge that I was surprised how much I caught up with, and I was surprised that I didn't have any favorites, to be honest. Like, it was really hard to narrow it down. So for this roundup, I'm not doing weakest to strongest of the season. I'm doing alphabetical. Give it a fair shot.
So when you say you don't have any favorites, do you mean like nothing stood out from the pack? Or they were all just so strong that nothing... they're all great.
Yeah, same vein as they're all great, and they all start off like 7 out of 10. You know, that's pretty much like watchable, and you'll enjoy it rating in mine.
Very strong.
Yeah.
Very, very strong.
And even ones that we'll highlight, they're not exactly slice of life. They do have strong elements of slice of life. So.
Oh, absolutely. Like I've seen your list. Yeah. And I'm like, I totally agree with.
And there's one exception. I'll explain along the way, but the first one. This one's in the same lengths of Genius Young Lady is one of the top rated of the season. The Angel Next Door. Spoils me rotten. Now, the story of this is this loner. I would say, I hate saying that he's a loner. It's more like he doesn't really care about social interactions in school. His name is Amane, and he lives alone in an apartment. And it's typical in Japanese culture. A kid can live on his own, handle himself as long as he gets money. And yeah, he just goes in school and gets out. He notices the cliques. He doesn't care for them. One girl in particular, my hero, She basically is the most popular girl, and she's straight A's. She knows how to handle on things, and she's beautiful. But Amine, he's kind of like, whatever. She's just an angel. Like, he kind of like teases her in that vein. However, he finds out one night that they're neighbors. The beautiful girl next door is his neighbor. And she notices him kind of like his apartment settings. I forgot how they actually came through the apartment. It was some type of exchange, but she knows how disgusting his apartment is. So she cleans up right off the bat. She hates the messes.
Well, it's cluttered. It's completely cluttered.
Yeah.
And she goes to, so he finds her, he's heading home from school.
Yeah.
And he finds her in the park on a swing
There you go.
in the rain.
That's what I'm missing. There
And
you
so
go. There you go.
he walks past her, and then he's like, oh, man. He's like, I don't want to talk to the angel.
Yeah.
But then he feels bad, so he goes and gives her his umbrella because he's like, don't get wet.
Yeah.
You know, he's like, don't get wet. So he heads home, and then she realizes that there's a knock on the door, and it's her.
Yeah.
And she comes to return the umbrella and thank him, and she thanks him with a meal. And then when she comes over to get like her container,
There you go. I remember now.
she's
Yeah.
like, dude, what is wrong with your apartment? He's like, yeah.
And it's not like the most disgusting thing you can think of. Only my show we're going to talk about later. That one's like a disgusting like room compared to that one. But you know, she cleans it right off the bat.
Well, as a return, you know, to help him out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then from there, they start a chemistry.
Yeah, the relationship builds over the course of the season. It's not the most authentic.
It's extremely stripped down.
It is.
Yeah.
It's very, very stripped down because it's just them.
Yeah.
It's just the building of their relationship. A lot of other slice of life shows do this.
Yeah.
And each episode hits the beat of a romantic slice of life show, but it's very pared down compared to like other slice of life. Like you get some side characters, but they're not really around.
Only two focus, and that happens to be his friend and his girlfriend.
Yeah. So you get the umbrella incident. Yeah. You get the I have a code incident.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you get the shrine visit incident.
Oh yeah, the slice of life story elements.
Yeah. So they hit all the points, and I can see why a lot of people like it.
Yeah.
But it doesn't break it doesn't like Horimiya. There's stronger ones, but I like this one. I like this one because it's very non-offensive.
It's literally a study on that. It's
Yeah.
like if you're thinking of an anime that you just want to enjoy, nothing's gonna happen, but something happens. This is the perfect culmination.
It's that slow build.
Very slow.
Yeah.
And this dialogue heavy, and I have a key question to ask Edwin with this. Mm-hmm. You think there's flirtation in this show? See what I mean? Like it's a show that doesn't do the teasing stuff. It doesn't do the.
Well, I was thinking of last season's My Stepmother's Daughter.
Yes,
Is my ex.
Definitely a precursor.
Yeah. So you get the same setup where these two are kind of like they're kind of playing house.
Yeah.
And they kind of like they're so conscientious of each other where you don't get like that kind of like
You don't get like that "don't toy with me, Miss Nagatoro" kind of like teasing.
no.
Yeah.
No, this is a very like they're very considerate of each other.
Yeah.
To the point where it's like it's almost awkward.
Yeah.
But he does realize that at some point he's like, well, if this doesn't become a relationship, it's going to be really weird.
Yeah.
And as you're sitting there in the audience, you're thinking the same thing, like, yeah, dude, yeah.
Yeah. And yeah, you were just mentioning about the pacing too, the slow build. Like I'm catching up with every episode. This is a show I could have ignored easily. Hit like initially having the same vein as More Than Married Couple But Not Lovers. I'm like, okay, they're gonna play house, but it pays along. And two shows that definitely remind me of are Toradora and Welcome to the NHK. Some of my favorites. So.
I can see that, but this show doesn't have the
It's not as vulgar as those two, too. Yeah.
Well, it's not as bombastic.
Yeah.
This one's a very, very quiet slow burn.
Yeah, very.
Yeah, with very little, like almost no dramatic conflict at all.
The only one of the key drama elements is gift exchanging. Like they give a gift for favors. It's a gift exchange show. Oh my god.
Yeah, I mean it's adorable, and I can see why people like it.
Yeah.
But like I could recommend like 5 stronger shows.
Yeah. But this is why it's one of the top ones too. I feel like because people either resonate with those other shows or they just discover it on the first time.
Well, I think too, it's like it's a show that isn't going to offend anybody.
Yeah.
Like it's really like it's one of those shows where it's like, all right, this is just really quiet. I mean, if you want like a quiet romantic show that doesn't play the tsundere card, and you don't get the fan service and you don't get the insanity, then this is a good show.
Yep.
Yeah.
And yes, that's a first highlight. And mind you, it's one of the highest ranked shows, surprisingly, even for a quiet slice of life show. So I'm pretty impressed.
I think people were ready for it.
Yeah. And if I'm not mistaken, the people have read the manga too and all that. So yeah, definitely a good surprise. Now for our next show for the slice of life, vending machine corner, we have Buddy Daddies. Now, I mentioned earlier how there were some shows in the slice of life category that were 50-50, almost there for slice of life. But as you watch the show, even though it's advertised as a buddy cop, drama, action-packed show like Spy Family or The Chorus Recoil, this one takes the route of Yakuza's Guide to Babysitting, more about the dramatic elements of the characters.
I agree.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And surprisingly, I was expecting Spy Family all over again. I'm like, okay, I'll watch every now and then. The humor starting off was really fresh and really cool, and definitely had an 80s action vibe. I'm like, yeah, I'm sold on this. But then watching along with the show, it has dramatic elements.
Yeah, this is about 2 assassins or 2 hitmen.
Yeah.
That just happen to kill the dad of the girl that shows up in their lives.
That's why I mean, with the first episode, you expect a good zany time.
Yeah, you're like, what just happened? And they realize, oh no, we just shot her dad. Yeah, and so they end up essentially adopting this girl.
Yeah, and this girl, she's a kid. I'm gonna say that
she's 4.
She's 4.
Mm-hmm.
She definitely is more annoying. She's definitely more annoying than Anya and the girl from Yakuza's Guide to Babysitting. But, she still carries on, and that's the whole purpose, like to annoy these 2 professionally trained hitmen to test their limits.
Yep.
The hitmen are Kazuki and Rei. And similar to The Chorus Recall, one's the bubbly, hey guys, how you doing, to the cold-blooded killer in Rei.
Yeah.
He just wants to play video games and be quiet all day.
And sleep in the bathtub.
Yeah. He reminds me a lot of Fenrir from Miss Kobayashi's Dragon Maid.
I can see that.
Yeah. Same dynamics and same look, too.
Yeah.
Episode by episode, they get missions from the intel at a bar, similar to The Chorus Recoil.
Yes.
And this one is here and there. I think it's gotten a little bit popular. But if you love The Chorus Recoil, definitely check the show out. Yeah. Ultimately, the action aspects of it is really impressive. But like I mentioned with the slice of life elements, you'd be surprised because there's a key episode with Kazuki and shows why he took in the hitman route, essentially. So it's kind of interesting.
This is one of my favorites from this season.
Yes.
I'm not completely caught up because it's like I'm going to wait and watch a whole run of it.
Yeah, it's a show like that too. Spy Family for me was like that too.
Yeah, I want to watch because it's one of those shows where I'm always disappointed when it's over.
Yeah.
I'm like, no, it's over already.
Yeah, because this guy, the babysitting as well, was like that.
Yeah. So I'm like, I've watched the first 5 episodes, so I'm going to watch the rest of it in a go.
Yeah, and that's what I mean. Once you watch the 7th and 8th episode, I think you'll like it, Edwin.
Okay. I'm excited. This was one of my favorites this season. Like, it's colorful, it's bombastic, it's very similar to Spy Family, but it doesn't take itself as seriously as Spy Family.
In Spy Family, even Spy Family has slice of life elements with it, with the drama and the slow down moments, but it's intrigue. It's fascinating. And
part of it is that it takes itself so seriously, and that's part of where the humor comes from.
Very much so.
In Buddy Daddies, it's not. It's everything's played for laughs.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's either everything's played for laughs, But at the same time, it's like, yeah, these guys are growing attached to this kid, and as annoying as she is, she's still like the heart of the show.
Yeah.
And it's an endearing show. I mean, you're rooting for these guys.
Yeah.
You know, they're taking out dirtbags. You can't help but root for them and want them, and the mishaps that they have in raising a child, they're absolutely hilarious.
Yeah.
Like,
and the timing with Ray is really good.
Oh, yeah.
Really good.
Yeah.
You know, like Kazuki was doing like a plea bargain with the boss guy. As he failed, Ray was like, "Your acting sucks."
Well, Ray tends to criticize him without really contributing anything.
Yeah.
He's like, whoa. He's just like the sourpuss.
Oh yeah.
But to see their heartstrings being tugged at by this little girl.
Yeah.
Yeah, I ended up loving this show, and it's really good looking too.
Surprisingly,
this show is like the animation on this show is really nice.
it pops just
really
as much,
well done.
Yeah, it pops just as much as La Course Recoil too. I do admit that.
They do a great job of just like this is a show that can do playground scenes really, really well.
Yeah.
But it can also do like action scenes. Like there's a scene where they fail to kill this one guy, and like Ray is just like, he's got his machine gun and he's just taking out the entire building.
And the first episode's literally Die Hard. Like they're on top of the plaza.
Yeah, and he just jumps right out the window. Like, all right. Yeah, if you like Spy Family, you're gonna
La Course Recoil.
yeah, well, of course, Rico, but also, accuse a guy into raising a
and
child.
one of the most underrated shows of last
babysitting.
year. Yeah.
Yeah, you're gonna love Buddy Daddies.
Oh yeah. And following that one, we're already having 2 home runs now. But this one I consider a home run. I really like this one. It's the Ice Guy and his cool female colleague. Now the premise of this one. Okay. It's about this man named Himuro who's about to get hired at this office. And basically an orientation, no harm, no foul. He just has to show up. Unfortunately, he gets nervous. The unique thing about Himuro, though, is that once he gets nervous, there's a blizzard.
Yeah.
So the concept of the show is that Himuro is a descendant of an ice deity. And
A Yuki-onna.
a Yuki-onna, there you go. And even though that's a terrifying power, he activates the powers in the most inconvenient times whatsoever. Case in point, as he's about to get hired, or at least enter this orientation. Along the way, he meets this one woman, and this woman's named Fuyusuki, and she just notices him being starring this winter storm, middle of a Japanese summer. And this is a universe where these things kind of happen.
Yeah.
You'd be surprised because the first 5 minutes, you'd be like, wait a second, shouldn't she be terrified or anything? Why is it winter all of a sudden from this guy?
Yeah. She's essentially met Iceman and is not puddled.
Yeah.
She's not like, oh, okay.
Yeah, and she makes a comment.
Sure.
And she makes a comment because his feet actually freeze up.
Yeah.
And she's like, I've known the expression, but I've never seen it done literally.
Yes. He did it literally.
But she calms him down, and ultimately he immediately falls in love with her. And he's like, man, I hope I see that woman again, because there was just a quick little exchange. As he goes into the orientation room, she happens to sit next to him. Mm-hmm. It's that type of romance.
Yeah. Like, oh, we work at the same company?
Yeah. Ultimately, this show's just that. It's even though it's the crazy element of a snow deity descendant, it continues on, and it's the most adult show of the bunch because of the characters and their interactions.
Well, it's not. Yeah, you're definitely getting. It's definitely like The Office. Like My Senpai is Annoying,
And Miss Kobayashi's Dragon Maid.
Mhm.
Yeah.
more. Yeah, I can see the parallel.
Or at least the Office type.
The
of
Office
anime.
part of it. Yeah. Yeah. This is definitely like an Office show, but it feels almost like it's hard to explain how it feels like a teen show.
Yeah, no,
but
but
in a way,
it makes me feel like an adult because I've had instances like that. I've been to orientations and you meet all these strangers and you don't know how you're going to interact with
The
them.
9 to 5, the office party,
Yes.
the seminars.
And 80% of it too, because
Yeah.
that's the only way he could see her, and it's a bidding romance.
It's very cute. This show's adorable.
Yeah.
I love the fact that every time he gets excited about her, he makes little snowmen.
Yeah.
Yeah, they just start popping out of his shoulders and making comments. this is just like the cutest little quiet romance show I've seen in a while.
Yeah.
And it's so endearing, and they're just they're fucking adorable.
Yeah.
They're just adorable. The two of them. Like, she goes home, like, if he has a problem, she goes home and like looks on the internet. She's like, how can I help him?
Yes.
And he's over there just like doing the same thing. And so they're totally crushing on each other.
Yeah.
And you're just like, all right, come on already.
Yeah.
Like get together, because like,
even the office kind of knows it. One of the coworkers just happens to be a fox spirit.
Yeah.
And his best friend shows up later and he's a phoenix.
Yeah. It's like, you're like, what? Well, I love that their boss is essentially the Buddha.
Yeah, that's
He's just like a walking Buddha statue.
He's like, oh, he's kind of wise, kind of like the Buddha, and he shows that pose.
Yeah, and he's like, you're like, no, wait, that is the Buddha.
Yeah. And then the exchanges are wonderful. It's also a gift exchange show. Like you mentioned, how she's trying to fix his dilemma. She thinks of practical ways, like demelter kind of gift.
Yeah.
Or if you want to control, because they're doing a business trip near the beach. She gets some like supplies and stuff.
Well, she gets some popsicles, because whenever it's too hot, he shrinks.
Yeah, into a kid.
Yeah, he shrinks into a child size, which he's really embarrassed about.
Wow.
But she thinks is absolutely adorable.
She took a photograph of it.
Yeah. She made that like her lock screen photo, and I'm just like, girl, you're totally in love with this man.
Yeah.
It's
and I like her. I like how the actress portrays her, because she's not reserved, but she has like that demeanor of being like, I'm just here for my paycheck, whatever.
Well, she's very reserved. I mean, it's Japan. It's Japan.
That's what I mean. It feels like it's there. You're actually watching two human people.
Yeah, you're definitely that vibe, that cultural, like, it's coming through.
Yeah.
You know, like, you're like, these are not like, this is not like Toradora. You know, no. This is a very quiet romance, and it's an adorable show. It's harmless, but like, if you're looking for something like that, it's almost pitch perfect.
Yeah.
And I wasn't expecting much from it.
Yeah.
But it delivers on the adorable cuteness.
Yeah.
So if you want something like that, this is definitely something worth checking out.
Yeah. And it's the only show of the bunch I've taken my time with. I'm only up to episode 5, episode 6, but I love it.
I watch every episode of this show because it's just, it's good for your soul.
It's if I had to pick the one that's good for your soul, it's this one. No joke. It really is.
Yeah,
that's a good observation.
Yeah, it's not. There's no. It's very calming.
Yeah,
and it's pretty much, it's good for your soul.
Yeah, even like the most like cheesiest dialogue you can think of, because his inner monologue is tremendous.
Yeah,
and he's like, it's so cute that she thinks it's cute.
Yeah, she's like, and then the snow just shows up everywhere.
And he gets frazzled quite easily.
And they're like, oh, he's excited again.
And his coworkers are the best too, because they take it. They're like, yeah, he's just,
that's who he is. Yeah.
Now from that, because even though they're adults sharing the puppy love, this one's the ultimate puppy dog love anime of the season.
Yeah.
Kubo Won't Let Me Be Invisible.
I love this show.
It's in the same energy as Angel Next Door and Isekai and his cool colleague, but this one does it even more endearing. Like the science of it, at least. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of shows like this where you have like a main character who essentially is like totally in love or infatuated, or where you have this relationship where it's essentially the show is just the two characters and they're back and forth.
Yeah.
But for some reason, Kubo manages to do this exceptionally well.
Yeah.
Like, it's this show. If you thought the last show we talked about was adorable, this show is just like, talk about puppy love.
Yeah, and if you're a fan of Angel Next Door, spoils me around. This one, I hate to say it, does it better.
This show does it better than a lot of other shows.
Yeah.
In a way that I'm like, because they take the main character's invisibility. Like, he's so bland.
Yeah, he's a wallflower.
I think they take it to the extreme, though.
Literally.
Because nobody can see him.
Yeah.
Even like... There's even like motion sensor doors
Yeah.
that won't realize that he's there.
And the cashiers can't even see that he's there.
No.
Yeah.
Nobody sees he's there until it's the most awkward time, and then they see him.
Yeah, and that character is Shirashi, and he has a really good voice actor doing it. It makes it really meek and but kind of like resonant. It's the most unique of the bunch this season, in my own opinion. And yeah, he's invisible, literally the title. And similar to the character in Angel Spoils Me Rotten, he just wants to go into school and get out of school. But like Edwin pointed out to, he's literally not noticeable whatsoever. Even the teacher can't see him that he's in class. He has to physically go to the teacher and tell him that he's there.
He's like, I showed up today.
Yeah. And every student's like, oh, there he is.
Yeah. He's kind of like an urban legend. It's
It almost his own mythos.
Did you see him? Did you see him? Did you spot him? Was he here today?
And mind you, his seat is like at the end of the, the classroom. Yeah. So you would think like just turn your head, you'd be like, oh, there he is.
Like that aspect of the show has made me laugh.
It's hysterical.
It has made me laugh more than I expected to.
Oh, yeah.
But then at the same time, you have his relationship with Kubo, and she's crushing on him hard.
Yeah, and Kubo is the one, almost like Tandero in Komi Can't Communicate, the translator of Shirashi.
Yeah.
And she notices him.
She has the ability to see magical beasts.
Yes.
Yep. Which essentially is just him, but you know.
But it seems like it. Yeah. And yeah, this is a show like that does the story beats from the cold episode to the Christmas episode. Another gift exchange show. But my favorite arc, surprisingly, is another staple in a lot of slice life animes. The Valentine's episode.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because she bakes some chocolates. Her older sister is one of the best older sisters.
Well, she can't cook worth a damn.
Yeah.
So she enlists her sister's help. And her sister's like, why are you doing this?
Yeah. As charming as Kubo is, her sister is definitely, that's where the family gets it.
Yeah.
And, she's suave and cool. And, definitely a nice character there. But during that Valentine's exchange, she leaves him the chocolate in Shirashi's desk. But Shirashi's so like, gave me this? Who would think to get me this?
He's like an urban legend. Who gives a Valentine's Day to an urban legend, you know? And I love that it's the metaphor for it's her feelings for him that allow her to see him.
Yeah.
And that's such a, like, sometimes it's like you don't feel seen until somebody sees you like that.
Yeah.
And so that's really, I think that's one of the things that really, like, resonates with me on this show. And I think that's why it's like, it's become one of my favorites, and I hope that I know there's only 6 episodes out. It's taking a break, because the production,
and the COVID, if I'm not mistaken, too.
I can't wait for that one to come back.
Yeah, and it's one of the few shows I've been watching on High Dive too. I'm like, man, it stopped like that. Yeah. But overall, it's under the radar. Definitely watch it. You guys.
This one, I'm not gonna say you might want to. Watch this show. Yeah. You'll like this show.
And one of the best voice actresses, Kana Hanazawa.
Yep. Our girl.
Her home girl. She's Kubo. So.
Yep. Definitely. It's worth checking out just for that.
Yeah. Now, for one, even though I was doing this alphabetically, I forgot to mention this one. But this one's no slouch. This one's one of my favorites. For good reason, because I've been keeping up with the show since its debut. It's the second season of Don't Toy With Me, Miss Nagatoro, Second Attack.
Yep.
Okay, here we go. Now, to recap, and especially if you haven't checked out the first season. So, beginning episode, the character of Paisan, we're not sure of his real name at the moment. He's in a library, and he gets overwhelmed over studying or something along those lines. I forget the origins of it. But these group of girls kind of laugh at him because he's fidgeting, he's crying. I think he was bully attacked more, I think about it. And even though that's happening and he's crying, there's just one particular character that kind of like talks to him, and that's Nagatoro. And she's the bully of the bullies, but in a good way. Because the whole 4th season, that's pretty much every episode, their dynamics. How she teases him, pressures him to do here and there things. And that's literally the show. You'd be surprised.
Well, these girls are like verging on delinquents.
Yeah.
Like they're I wouldn't call them the mean girls, but they're like the tough crowd.
Yeah.
Like they're
You
like
gotta impress us kind of crowd.
yeah, they're like physically intimidating.
Yeah.
I'm like if they wanted to, they could totally form a girl gang.
Yeah, and Nagatoro is that type of girl. Like I had a friend similar to that, relatively small, but she packs a punch.
Oh, I had a friend like that
Yeah,
too. She was nuts.
and semi flirtatious, but in a way that you know that you're budding. But once you talk to another girl, they get super jealous. Oh yeah, Edwin agrees with me. I don't even know what that type of personality is. But
I had a friend who she did not want to date,
yeah,
but she was very possessive.
yeah, and that's Nagatoro. Possessive. That's a better word.
Yeah. Well, I think Nagatoro's afraid.
Yeah,
But I think she likes having her senpai. She likes teasing him.
yeah.
But I think she's genuinely catching feelings for him.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
part of the first season is just them hanging out at his art classroom. That's 85% of the show.
Yeah.
Hearing their interactions outside of it, you get to see a little bit of Nagatoro. Second season is all Nagatoro.
Yeah.
Like her home life, her sister.
Well, yeah, we move away from the classroom setting
Yeah.
and out into the world where, you get your more like traditional like slice of life like encounters,
Yeah.
like the shrine visit, New Year's,
The sick visit.
yeah, the sick visit, the Christmas, everything. And they play out pretty well for the ski trip.
Yeah.
They
That's actually one of my favorite ski trips episodes.
yeah, it plays out. These actually play out really well for a show that essentially has one gag.
Yeah.
It gets deeper this season, and I'm liking where it's going.
And surprisingly balanced. And yeah, you even grow with the gang a little bit with Gamo-chan and Yoshi.
Yeah.
Because their timing is excellent. They're definitely the comedy beats.
Oh yeah, those two. I'm almost developing a crush on the tall one.
Yeah,
I'm
she's
like,
she has something. And there's this key episode where she's singing karaoke at the end. Oh, it's really cute.
yeah.
But the dynamics, of course, lean towards each other. Senpai Paisan, he grows and he doesn't wear glasses anymore. Even when he gets nervous, he fidgets still, and that's a good little gag as well.
That is a good little gag.
Nagatoro turns into a cat at times.
They're both growing,
Yeah,
which is pretty cool.
yeah.
They have to end up together because if they don't,
I personally want a third season myself.
Sure.
Yeah, because we're at the point where it's a little bit of a drama arc, probably the first drama arc I can think of during this judo tournament. And it's a really good sequence of episodes.
Well, we see a different side, I think, of Nagatoro
Yeah.
than we've seen so far.
Yeah.
She's just kind of like the annoying bully.
Yep.
Until this point, she's like like the little annoying bully that but like, okay, like whatever.
Yeah.
And they've totally developed, like, there's definitely a friendship there.
Yeah.
And they have their bonds, but I like that we're seeing them grow almost in their own directions.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I think closer together.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And there's also a wild card involved, the semi-rival with the teacher. And yeah.
Oh, the
club president.
yeah, the art club president who is a nudist.
And she kind of reminds me of Comey at times.
Okay.
With the bangs. Yeah, yeah.
Well, that's about the only part.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
But
her obsession with nudity, I find to be hilarious.
yeah, and
Yeah.
I voted this as for the first season, voted as my favorite comedy, or at least highlighted as my favorite comedy.
Yeah, and Nagatoro's just like, get out of here,
Yeah.
you perv.
Part of it is like the most tongue-in-cheek humor you can find.
Yeah. Well, this one's definitely played for the laughs.
Yeah.
Yeah. You have your endearing moments, but this show is like almost 100% laughs.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
And now for the next one. Speaking of laughs, because this is the one that I've been most torn on, but thinking about it more and more and seeing more of the episodes, I'm like, you know what? It is a slice of life. And that is Onimai.
Onimai? Yeah.
I Am Now Your Sister.
Yeah, that show.
Where to begin?
Go ahead, Jack.
Because Edwin did the preview, the winter preview. So the premise of this show is about this male otaku named Oyama, But he basically has it made. The perfect otaku life. Until his older sister, Miyari, changes up things, to say the least.
That's putting it mildly.
Yeah, I want to start off that way.
Okay.
Because the older sister, or technically younger sister at that point, but changes the older brother into the younger sister.
Yeah.
Scientifically changes overnight into a younger girl.
She turns her older brother through science into a middle school girl.
Similar vein as Weird Science.
Yes. Yes. This show.
Oh my God. Because the first episode alone, it's all the lolly humor you can think of.
This show doesn't mess around.
Yeah.
I'm not exactly sure who this show is for.
It's anime. It's like anime has that one nugget of a show that you're like, should I be watching it?
I mean, that's very true.
Yeah.
That's very true. This show made me uncomfortable in ways that I was not ready for.
Same.
Yeah, but you know what? It's hard to stay mad at this show.
For many reasons.
For the shit that it does, because I'm like, there was like, even just the opening sequence, you're just like,
who?
This is definitely a show for lolicons.
Yeah.
I mean, like, they will get, I want to say they will get off on this show, but like, there's definitely stuff there for them.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it's kind of like this endearing relationship between this girl and her brother.
Yeah.
As she tries to get him out of his funk and back out into the world.
And that's part of going down the rabbit hole. Like you mentioned, like we've mentioned before, actually, of certain shows that become watch bait. Like, there's a crazy premise, like Taboo Land crazy premise, but guess what? It's something else.
Yeah. Well, like Hirigo.
Yes.
And then
my stepmom's daughter is my ex.
Yeah. Married but not
married couple but
married
not
but not
lovers.
lovers. Yeah. I think all of those are they start out with like a premise that you're like, and then even throughout some of it, I mean, especially for a married couple, the outfits that she wore, you're just like, whoa.
Yeah.
But this show is different because it involves like a middle school, like he's not a middle school girl. He's a college age man.
Yeah.
Who gets turned into a middle school girl. And he has to deal with the things that women have to deal with.
Yeah.
And he considers like, so there's no way that we can have a PG discussion about this show.
Lolicon itself is just like the most vulgar we can go.
Well, I mean, his first impulse is to masturbate. And you're like, what am I watching?
Yeah.
And it's like, I'm like, all right, okay.
But he has a weird way of being like, oh, okay, I can't do that. And then when he goes to the bathroom, okay.
She tells him you're not ready for the female orgasm.
It's even like 100 times more.
And I'm like, how uncomfortable am I gonna get? But the problem is that those jokes and the joke, I'm like, I don't know who the jokes are for, and I don't know who the fan service is for. But the show itself, the relationship between him and his sister, it's very endearing.
Yeah.
It's very endearing. And it's nice to watch him try to, like help her out and become like the brother that she knew.
Yeah.
Like the guy who takes care of his younger sister and who roots for her and who doesn't feel like he has nothing to offer the world.
Yeah.
In a way, it's kind of similar to the Isekai that we were talking about, the revolution of the magical, the reincarnated princess, where she has so outshone her brother that he's kind of like given up. And she wants to fix that. And so her way of fixing it is turning him into a little girl. Yeah.
Well, and it's good change of play, like understand me, then I'll understand you kind of show.
Yeah. Well, it's definitely a slice of life.
Yeah.
It's who it's for. I don't know.
Well, what initially got me, like, to be confession time, the reason I kept up with the show, even though I do not like the premise too much compared to other shows, surprisingly, is the art.
The art's amazing. Like, this show looks really good for being what it is. And that's another thing that kind of confuses me. It's like, all right, the level of quality of the animation and just the...
It's one of the highest of the year for the season. Yeah.
It's a very good-looking show.
Yeah.
It's a very good-looking show.
It's in the same vein as Fooly Cooley, Keep Your Hands Off Isekai.
Well, for me, it's like when I describe Buddy Daddies.
As well.
That has such great animation. And then Campfire Cooking in Another World, which is another greatly, illustrated show. This show's no slouch.
No.
Like that opening, while it throws together a bunch of like
random stuff.
Well, it throws together a bunch of fan service tropes.
That too, yeah.
But it does it in a way that's so colorful and fun.
Similar Isekai, yeah.
Yeah, well, it reminds me of like, Sleepy Princess and the Demon Castle.
For the opening, yeah.
For the opening, because it's such a cool opening, but you're like, all right, this is a bunch of fan service.
It is.
When they're running around with the water squirt guns, you're just like, oh, Lord.
Riding the tube.
Yeah, it's like, oh, God. The innuendo is thick.
Yeah.
And when it's not innuendo, it's just flat out fan service in your face.
Yeah.
And you're like, man, I don't know if I can recommend this to anybody without them thinking I'm crazy. But
it's that show. It is that show, to be honest.
Yeah.
But up to 6 or 7, like he's progressing as a character.
Yeah, I mean,
in small instances. And mind you, the otaku lifestyle is very hard, depressive state for people. And so for him to even eat breakfast early in the morning, that's like an accomplishment.
Well, leaving the house.
That too. Yeah.
Going shopping.
That's the biggest one. That's the biggest hurdle.
Yeah. So this is somebody who's definitely become a shut-in and has those anxieties.
Yes.
But it's like, okay, it's how much do you have to suspend to enjoy the fact that it is a slice of life about, a sister who cares for her brother and is trying to find a way to help him.
Yeah.
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 I say watch it. I say watch it, like, I think that with this review, you know what to look out for. And so if you're okay with those things, I mean, you don't have to enjoy those things.
Yeah.
Doesn't hurt if you do. But
if you're a fan of Fooly Cooley, if you're a fan of Keep Your Hands Off Isekai, even Do It Yourself has a similar style too.
Yeah. I mean, artistically, and story-wise. But there's a lot of things where it's like, if you can look past those things to the core of the show, I think you'll enjoy it.
Yeah.
But there's a lot to look past.
It is. You have to. It's definitely the biggest leap of faith of them all in this season.
I think so.
Yeah. Now, finally, for conclusion for the Jack's Slice of Life vending machine corner, we have the first show I saw this season. I didn't think twice about it. I felt like it was a show that, you know what, I put this around my radar. Same vein as Onimai. Like, it'll be around the corner. I'll definitely have to catch up with a couple episodes. Nothing more. That's usually my pace. In doing this podcast, I've gotten a little bit better than just giving that leap of faith. At least giving more than 4 episodes. But this first episode, I was sold. And that is Tomochan's Not a Girl.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the premise of Tomochan is these childhood friends of Tomo and June, they are friends, like friends of friends, the best of friends. And even Tomo's friends know that they're good friends. However, all these years, Tomo's had a crush on June. Now, the thing about June, though, is that he likes her, but only in a chummy type of best buddy guy friend. Because Tomo essentially is like a boy, a tomboy. And she's strong as it is. And the dynamics of each character is questioned. Like, do they want to give up their chemistry or move on with their affections?
Yeah. This show is hilarious. We'll start with
that, yes.
We'll start with the fact that this show is absolutely hilarious.
Yeah.
I mean, some of the jokes in this show have entertained me to no end. Yeah. I'm cracking up.
And it starts with the characters.
Yeah. Well, June doesn't see... I think it's more... What I like about this show is that dynamic is a lot more complicated than the show leads you to believe at the beginning.
That's what I mean.
Yeah, because it's like, it's not only that this is the girl that essentially changed his life.
Yeah.
Like I think he fell in love with Tomochan in a way that she doesn't even understand, because he realized that he wanted to keep up with her.
Yeah.
You know,
It's a guy thing. Yeah.
I don't know that so much. I mean, I get that the competition and the rivalry, but I think there's something more to it.
Oh, yeah.
I think there's like she kind of lit a fire within him.
Yeah.
And so there's like he holds her in that place. You know, like he was just like this little gamer kid who was sitting there and she just
From the city.
Yeah, she grabbed him and pulled him into the world.
Yeah.
And like kind of opened it up for him.
Mm-hmm.
And so he
And she happened to be stronger.
I don't think it's admiration as much as it is like awe of like her fearlessness. And like he might be afraid of things, but he knows Tomochan isn't.
Yeah, yeah.
So to see her kind of like afraid of like him, I think that really threw him for a loop more than anything else.
That's a good call because there's a couple episodes because there's a lot of random bully attacks.
Yeah.
And the background with Jun and Tomo is that they're trained by Tomo's father, a judo instructor, or no, karate. He's a martial arts trainer.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, and Tomo's the best of the best. And Jun is really good. The thing, though, is that the bullies are always afraid of Jun. But they're like, well, I heard that Tomo's even stronger than Jun. Like, we better watch out.
Yeah.
And they're the first bully interaction, Tomo just kicks the living shit out of him.
Yeah, they don't stand a chance.
Yeah, yeah. And there's their dynamics, but like I said, it's a show about characters, and we're talking about some of the most endearing characters of this season, with the likes of Mizuzu and Carol. Now, Carol, where to start?
I can't believe that Mizuru
Yeah.
calls her a chubby bitch.
Yeah,
I'm just like, oh my god,
the squishy bitch.
Squishy bitch. I'm like, oh my god, this girl's evil.
Yeah, Carol's. I think like this is the part that confused me. Is she from America?
I think she's supposed to be American. Yeah,
living in Japan.
The blonde hair, kind of like
and ditzy.
Yeah,
to the T.
Yeah, ditzy, but still,
she has her ways.
She knows what's going on.
Yeah,
like she's got like she might come across as super ditzy.
Yeah,
but she's very like she knows stuff.
Similar to Chica, yeah.
Well, Mizuzu is kind of afraid because she's like, I got to keep my eye on this girl because she's planning something.
Yeah, and
similar. And Mizuzu is like the smartest one in the group.
Yeah.
But she may have met her match with Carol.
Yeah. And it's also another Chisato Takana type of dynamic, bubbly to tsundere.
Yeah.
And Mizuzu, as a building arc, I want to think it's a building arc, but at season or episode 9 at the moment, it's still at bay. Who knows if they're going to explore it the next couple?
Well, I think what's happening is that Mizuzu is realizing, and she doesn't care really about anybody.
Yeah.
Except Tomochan.
Only one.
Yeah, and I think she's realizing that at first it was fun for her to try to get Tomochan to like act like a girl and try to go after Jun.
Yeah.
But now I think she's realizing that she's going to lose Tomochan.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's going to lose Tomochan to this relationship, and she's essentially going to be alone.
Yeah. And there's like even like the second or third episode kind of threw me off. She actually dated Jun at one point as Mizuzu.
For like 2 days.
Yeah, that's actually a funny episode, but they get that out of the way at least.
Yeah.
And Carol kind of becomes a rival, but then another character, what's his name?
Well, she has her own crush.
Yeah, Misaki.
Yeah.
Kosuke. Kosuke is very interesting character.
Yeah. He's turned out to be like, okay, I thought you were going to be just like the bland side character. No.
He has some fire in him.
He's just as crazy as the rest of them.
Yeah.
Everybody on this show is nuts.
Yeah, he's on par with Carol, his number one.
There isn't a sane person on this show.
Yeah.
Domo might be the sanest one on the show.
Yeah.
And that's saying something.
Yeah, it does, even though she's like the strongest character you can think of.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's also my favorite opening. It's my favorite closing of the season.
Yeah, that opening song is my favorite.
Yeah.
Telepathy.
Yeah. It's almost like a early 2000s type of power punk type of vibe.
Yeah. And this show is kind of a throwback to.
It is.
Yeah. It feels like a throwback. It kind of feels like the last 10 years didn't happen.
Yeah.
And here you go, you have this show that's just like, oh, okay.
It doesn't take itself too seriously.
No.
Definitely its own world. It's a very, very impressive show.
Yeah, Martin was he was really surprised that this became a show because originally I guess it was a 4-panel.
Yeah. Martin read it too, and that's
Yeah.
our friend. He always knows the scope of when show's about to debut, and he's a smart man.
He's very well informed.
Yeah. So, yeah, overall, this is a must show if you haven't checked it out. It's been ranked A-OK here and there compared to the other ones.
Well, this is one of the ones where it's like I'm watching it as soon as it comes out.
Yeah, me
it's
too.
Like I don't want to wait.
It debuts on Thursday.
Yeah, because it's I know I'm going to laugh, and I want to see where it's touching enough where it's deeper than some of the other shows.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I want to see where this goes.
Yeah. And like I said, I'm not sure. Like, I'm definitely cross my fingers for a second season. Will it wrap out for the first season? I doubt it, but I wouldn't be surprised.
You can totally do another season of this. I don't know where it's going to end, but I'm sticking around.
Yeah.
Yep.
And that is it for Jack's Slice of Life Vending Machine Corner.
Woohoo!
Alrighty. And then for the next part, we're going to do our top 5 favorite shows of the season.
Woohoo!
Alrighty. Welcome back, guys. And now we're going to be mentioning our top 5 of the winter 2023 season.
Woohoo!
Woohoo!
What we're going to do first is we're going to give you a list of our honorable mentions. I think this is going to surprise Jack for me because I have 3 honorable mentions of shows that one of them is one of our returning favorites. But for me, some shows have been stronger than it this season. Another one is another one of my returning favorites, but I kind of want to. That show is for me.
Yeah.
It makes me laugh. I'm not sure. I really don't care if anybody else likes it.
If you like it, you like it.
Yeah.
There's no shame in it.
All right. So my 3 honorable mentions, I'll start with Sugar Apple Fairy.
That one's good.
Yeah.
That one's an honorable mention of mine, too.
Yeah. I really, really like this show. I thought it was going to be bland. I'm like, this is going to be boring. I'm like, I'm not going to like this show. This is not a show for me.
Yeah.
This is a show for everybody.
Yeah.
It's very entertaining. I like the story that it's telling. I saw some of the things coming, but even when like there's a betrayal that happens.
Yeah, and that's the only like halting point. It's the only show with that type of halt, but you'll be surprised where it goes from there.
Yeah, I really ended up I'm like I really like this show and I really want to see where it goes.
Yeah, it's not endearing to me. I'm not like praising it to the mountains or anything, but I like it. And I'm going to finish the season for sure.
I think it's good for what it does.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's why it's in my honorable mentions. I think you'll enjoy this show if you watch it. If you give it a chance, I think you'll enjoy it. And I like what it does.
Yeah.
I like what it does.
It's all about a girl that makes sugar can't pronounce that word. Confications?
Huh?
What's that?
Confectionery?
Confectionaries.
Yep.
She makes sugar confectionaries. I mean, it's a simple premise. And she has a fairy servant that, unfortunately, in this environment, fairies are slaves.
Yeah.
But that works out. And even though there's weird dark turns, it manages through. It's probably one of the most refreshing adventure stories I can think of in a while.
Yeah. It's very much Beauty and the Beast,
The Princess Bride, that type of fantasy, like an easygoing fantasy.
Easygoing. It's not as crazy.
No, but
as the Princess Bride.
But you can watch it right off the bat.
But the similarity, it doesn't take itself too seriously.
No.
But it's a serious adventure.
No.
My next one up is The Vampire Dies in No Time.
Yes, and this is the only one of the seasons I like that I haven't really caught up on, because in a future discussion, a future podcast episode, we're going to be diving into the whole series of Vampire Dies in No Time.
Yeah. So one of my only complaints about the first season is that so this is a comedy. This is a pure-on comedy that makes fun of like vampire hunter shows.
Everything.
And my only complaint about the first season was that it got funnier as the episode went along.
Yeah.
To the point where you were just dying by the end of the episode.
Yeah.
And the season was like that too. Like there was some kind of like fits and starts toward the beginning, But once they got their pacing and once they figured out what they wanted to be and what they wanted to do, it just got funnier and funnier and
I
funnier.
agree.
Those problems don't exist in the second season
Yeah.
because they're just going full on laughs. You have to watch the first season to get the jokes in the second season, especially with the broccoli.
Yeah.
But once you do, you're cracking up, and it's just watching some of these characters. Like there's a section of the police department that just handles vampires,
Yeah.
and they are the biggest bunch of losers. Like they try to portray themselves as like we're the cops, but they're the biggest bunch of losers.
Yeah.
And it's like they keep showing up, Drac and Ronaldo's detective agency / house
Oh yeah.
for the most inappropriate reasons. They're like, oh, we're doing research, but could you make us some cookies? It's like, what? Yeah. So this show makes me laugh every time. I love and then the opening where they're all kind of doing the same dance, this little arm thing.
Yeah.
It's adorable. And yeah, this is
And that's why I paused because thankfully we're doing an episode on it, and I want to enjoy the last as fresh as they come.
yeah, we're going to be talking more about this show, and so I won't go into more of it. But this show has a very adult sense of humor, so it's not going to be for everybody. And I didn't put it in my top 5 because it is the second season, and we're going to be doing like an entire show on it.
Yeah.
So we'll leave it at that. And then what are your honorable mentions?
Oh, I have a lot. The ones we mentioned already, like Sugar Apple, Fire Hunter.
Okay.
Fire Hunter, I'm going to sell the show. I'll do a quick plug-in for it because if you like Demon Slayer, you definitely would like Fire Hunter. It's not as grandeur. It doesn't even have close to the budget or art per se, but it's the most unique show I've seen this season. And I won't dive into more of the story because it'll take a whole hour to talk about the show, or at least the story elements of it. Campfire Cooking from Another World. I just started. I told Edwin that I did my Isekai relatively late because I wanted a little bit fresher perspective of what Edwin's describing. And that one I'm definitely gonna finish. It's gonna be a top favorite for sure. Isekai. I love Isekai and the cool colleague. I love it, but it's such a stacked season, and I hate that it's not there. Near Automata. I like it. It's the only one where the scheduling has been really off.
Yeah.
And that's a show and the video game as well. Both have to have your uttermost attention, at least a good stretch of it. So definitely doing a binge watch on that one. My Hero Academia, season 6. Very good season. Very good season. Better than the last 2. And I don't denounce it. It's still an ongoing series. We'll leave it at that. And then 2 others we mentioned are Slice Life, Vending Machine Corner. They definitely would be a top 5. If I could bring it for a spring season or like maybe for last year, it doesn't matter. But at the same time, these are definitely could be in a top 10, top 5 in any other list. The Angel Next Door spoils me rotten. I didn't latch on to the show per se, but I do commend its quality and its consistency with the story. And finally, the one I'm like, why is this not in my top 5? This one was the hard card off. Don't Toy With Me, Second Attack. Yeah. I hate that. I really do. But it's really good. And I'm quite enjoying the second season.
I'm enjoying it too. It just didn't. You mentioned in your Slice of Life Vending Machine Corner, so I'm like, all right, I don't have to mention that in my top 5.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Because it was hard. Because there was shows that just kind of like, I don't know. I mean,
well, we'll discover it in our top 5.
There you go.
Alrighty. So for our top 5 for the winter season, I'll already get our first shock out of the way because me and Edwin love this show. We already did a podcast episode on it. Inspector Season 2. Number 5.
Okay.
You're not mad?
Why am I mad? No.
Because it's such a good show, and I love it. Yeah.
You're going to be upset with me because I'm not talking about Inspector at all.
Oh.
Yep. It did not make it into my top 5.
Okay.
I did not put it in my honorable mentions.
Wow.
So I enjoyed some of the arcs, but this season has felt so disjointed.
It's extremely disjointed.
Yeah, and I'm kind of at a loss to where I I don't know how I feel about it. Like I've enjoyed the show, and for me, what's upsetting me a little bit is that I want to see more interactions between them, him
Yeah,
and
the
her.
couple.
Like they're hilarious. This most recent episode where they spend like 5 minutes of the show talking about the case.
While folding sheets.
Well, no, while they're trying to get these pens that when you turn them
Oh
upside
yeah,
down.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
like
That was great.
that was amazing.
Yeah.
That had me laughing.
It's the most tense conversation, but the whole time
They're trying
trying to win an arcade game.
Yeah. And I'm like, this is, and that's the gold of this show.
But I'll play devil's advocate. Don't you think like instance like that could be used in spurts? I think it works in spurts.
I agree. I mean, I agree you don't want too much of that, especially in a mystery show.
Yeah.
But for me, the mysteries, I don't think that they've handled them as well. Like
Even from the manga series, because the manga series jumps all around, and I feel like they could have ordered it just like the manga.
yeah, I don't, to me, it's a little bit, I like the Yuki Onna story.
That's my favorite.
The past one, the Pinocchio one, I was like, to me, I'm just like, I want more of the two main characters.
Okay.
It's like I just want more of them. It's like I like the stories, I like the characters that they're bringing up, but it feels so disjointed, and I don't feel like you're able to get invested.
Yeah. Well, to recap, in the first season, it was like two separate mystery stories and then one all-encompassing arc.
Right.
That's where you get to see the true power of the goddess of wisdom.
Yeah, and I think that that's what's going to happen with the last 6 episodes. The last 6 to 5 episodes,
Roughly, yeah.
Yeah, where they're gonna go back after his cousin because she's essentially her Moriarty. But I'm like, I don't know.
Yeah, it's
I feel conflicted.
Yeah, it's comparable to the likes of X-Files, for example, because X-Files is one mystery case after another, mystery case after
And then with an arc per season. Yeah.
Like not in you're right. The second season doesn't even have a over-encompassing arc. It's besides the cousin. But I feel like that's gonna be even later on. That could be like third or fourth season if they're really generous. But the optimistic side of me is that they're putting a lot of trust in what these stories can do. Even as disjointed as it is, and as much interactions as the main characters don't have with each other, I like the cases. The yokai stories are very interesting.
The Yuki Onna story was my favorite.
It's cute. It's very endearing. And it's a total tone of the show because that's why we love the show so much is the dad arc alone.
Well, just everybody's reaction to her is just like so different.
Yeah.
But they're just like, what?
Yeah. Her advice is even more wiser than the wise fool.
Well, wise, but at the same time, it's like you're kind of trouble.
You
know, it's like you're this spicy little
And as smart as she is, her boyfriend just has a way different viewpoint from her.
Yeah, she's a little perv too.
Yeah.
Like, okay, I see you. She's like a dirty old man.
Oh yeah.
Like, oh shit.
That'll be my number 5. What's your number 5?
My number 5 is campfire cooking in another world.
It probably would be for all I know, it could be in an early top 10 contender for me. It's that impressive a show.
Yeah, I mean, they really did a good job of capturing not only the light novel but the manga as well. I mean, it's pretty, it's entertaining, it's fun to watch. You have your combination of adventure and action, and we love food porn.
Yeah.
On this podcast.
No shame in that.
There's no shame in that. And it's constant with every episode. And it's like, this is the first show where he's done things with cooking that I want to try.
Yeah. Even more so in Laid Back Camp. Laid Back Camp is one where I want the characters to cook for me.
Well, in Laid Back Camp, the dishes were a little bit more, I think,
manageable.
Well, they were more regional.
That too.
Like you had they got into like complicated like regional stuff.
They even did like a specific town with a specific culture upbringing with eel.
Yeah. Like so they get a little bit more a little bit more sophisticated with the food.
Mm-hmm.
In this one, everything that he makes, I'm like, I could probably make that.
And more practical, I would argue.
It feels like that's like maybe I could make that.
Yeah.
Maybe I want to make that.
And like I mentioned, the marination, the oils, these are
The
these
breading,
are the most basic ones, like garlic and soy.
the different seasonings that he uses.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm like, all right, I see you. Yep.
And if a ancient wolf god likes it, you'll like the show too.
Well, I love that the goddess that blessed him, that blessed the wolf, Fenrir, that blessed him, she places a blessing on him as well because she wants treats. She's like, give me the snacks. Give me the good snacks. You know?
Best perk ever.
Yeah. It's like, have you left me my offerings? He's like, you just want candy. You just want food. You just want my food too.
He has to feed him 3 times a day.
Yeah,
oh
he's
my
like,
God.
Well, yeah, breakfast, lunch, and dinner, man.
Uh-huh.
And then the slime wants to eat too.
Yeah.
It's like this constant, like, you're like, man, this is nuts. I don't know how that dude has time for anything else.
And all he wants is to get away from the capital.
Yeah. It's like, let's reach the ocean until he finds out there's sea monsters and then he doesn't want to go. But Fenrir wants squid, so
something new.
It's going to happen.
Calamari is a good delicacy.
There you go. What's your number 4?
Okay. Now, number 4 easily could have been number 1. It's that good of a list. Number 4, Kobo Won't Let Me Be Invisible.
Okay.
It pulls the strings.
It really does.
Yeah, like we mentioned with the Valentine's story arc, it's a cute starting off point with her making chocolates, but the endearing part with the MC, he basically is like, who did this? Like, he's so invisible, even basic like interactions and basic offerings don't register to him. Like, is a Valentine's gift, this is like a joke at a certain point, but she consoles him a little bit, and she doesn't give him the card just yet. And it's a good play. Like, it's like even better than Confession.
Yeah, she won't tell him.
Oh.
Yeah.
You have to think.
And he's like,
who's the only person you talk to?
Yeah.
That's how removed he is.
Yeah.
And there's another episode where he meets his older sister, but he doesn't even know. But
yeah, he's looking at he's trying to put back
accidentally puts back a naughty magazine.
Yeah, because the customer before him left it in the wrong spot.
Yeah.
So he grabs it to put it away, and he's like, well, if nobody notices me, I can probably sneak a peek until Kubo's sister does notice him.
And she works at the bookstore.
Yeah. So it might be genetics.
Yeah.
The ability to see him might be genetics.
They do have a cousin introduced, and she could do it as well.
Yeah.
Could be the eyes.
The Kubo family genetics.
Yeah. It's that type of show. Like, even though it's at a halt point, watch every episode.
Yeah. My number 4 is Tomochan. Yeah, this show is funny. It's endearing. It's funny. It's entertaining.
Yeah.
It became one of those shows that I had to watch the minute it came out.
Yeah.
And that's always a good sign.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and you talked about, I'm going to let you go on to your next one because we talked about it in your vending machine corner.
Mm-hmm.
So what is your number 3?
My number 3 would be To Your Eternity Season 2.
Oh, nice. Yeah. I still need to watch that.
Yeah. And I remember when you initially mentioned it, mind you, Edwin saw this before me. And I saw the first episode and I didn't continue on. Edwin had a good stretch of it, and you went up to at least the midway point. It's a very long arc, and this series is already past 50 episodes altogether. And the sequence is definitely a stalling point, like you mentioned, but it's a very important sequence because in the second season, the stakes get even higher. Fushi gets a little bit smarter with his ways, but it's an epic battle. Think of the likes of Attack on Titan and Berserk. Like, you be amazed where it goes from there.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Okay. And yeah, if you're in the mood, and just like the first episode, definitely has those overtones. I'm not going to lie about that. But if the listener has catch up with the show, you know what I mean. And for people starting off with, you definitely have to watch the first episode. I normally don't do ongoing series in my top 5s for catch-ups, but this one's a different case because this one probably take another year or so, maybe 2. I'm not even sure if the manga's done yet, but from this point, it's in the likes of Attack on Titan, Dr. Stone, a handful of others. So, yeah, if you're ready to do it, do it.
Okay, cool. So my number 3 is Buddy Daddies.
Okay, that's a surprise.
Yeah, because I really like this show. It's this season's Spy Family, man.
Yeah, and the weird part about it is that Yakuza guy to babysitting. I felt like I was missing a little bit more. It felt like crossing my fingers it'll have a second season. But this one, I feel like you can rewatch it, and you can definitely check out the second season once it comes.
Yeah, this one isn't as complicated
It's Yakuza.
as the cutest guys to babysitting
Yeah.
because there's a lot of, and I think that we might get to that in Buddy Daddies, like more of their past.
Yeah.
But like in Yakuza Guide to Babysitting, it's really about the transformation of the main character because he's taking
Yeah.
care of someone.
And it starts off really hot right off the bat. You'd be
Yeah.
surprised. Compared
That responsibility transforms him into a more, I don't want to say respectable character, but
he still has flaws, yeah.
well, he has flaws, but it gives him kind of like a reason to be more human
Agreed.
than he has been.
Agreed, yes.
Yeah. And you don't have that in Buddy Daddies.
Yeah.
You don't because they're not as broken as he is.
Yeah.
And so it's a little less, you have a little less of that going on, but I think that they managed to balance the endearing, like we're raising a child and we're getting attached to her,
Yeah.
with the like kind of like we're hitmen and this is action. And they do it in a really, really like in a way that works.
Yeah.
That's kind of surprising because tonally it shouldn't, because hey, these are, guys that kill people.
Yeah.
It just happens to be that they kill bad guys.
Yeah.
They kill bad men who are doing bad things, but you're like, they're still assassins, but they managed to make them likable enough where you're like, you know what? I can still root for them, even though this is what they do.
Okay.
And it's kind of like amazing that they're able to like pull that off, because you would think maybe this wouldn't work, but it does.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's surprisingly effective show. I admit it. I wasn't skeptical at first. I just went along with it because I didn't know if it was slice of life or action. That dilemma.
It's both.
It's both right off the bat.
Yeah. All right. So you're number 2.
All right, my number 2. We haven't discussed this yet. Trigunstampede.
Yeah, I kind of knew that was coming. Yep.
But number 2.
Yeah. Which is surprising.
Yeah. If you're a Trigun fan and you don't like the new season, that's a whole other conversation. I'm not going to dive into that because I feel that's mucky water. It's unfair because both shows at the end of the day are different. This show, Stampede, it's pretty cool. And yes, you do need a little background with the original series, even the manga, even the movie. But Stampede, right off the bat, goes to those charms, but does it in a different take on the characters themselves, with Vash, with Wolfwood, even with Meryl. And yes, Millie's not there yet. Be patient. And Millie, I adore her to infinity and beyond, but it's a different show and different tone. And it's, been a 25-year gap for good reason, because this is a show that needed that closure. And I feel like that's the ultimate theme of Stampede, the closure of Vash. So, because the original series, it makes you think in that vein. So,
okay. All right, cool. So my number 2 was Kubo Won't Let Me Be Invisible.
yeah, and it should be a top 5 for sure.
Yeah, because that show kind of like stole my heart this season.
It did.
Yeah, because I've watched other shows that are similar, and for some reason this one just manages to be like, it stole my heart a little bit more than some of the other ones, because it's like he's so invisible.
Yeah.
And I can kind of relate to that.
Yeah.
Yeah. He's so invisible. I can kind of relate. And just like her infatuation with him is so adorably done. It's hard to describe.
Yeah.
But it's so fucking adorable.
Yeah. And this is puppy dog love. Like, it makes you think like your first inclinations of love and care.
Like her friends get it.
Yeah.
She's still realizing it.
Yeah.
But her friends are like, uh-oh.
That's my favorite turn. It's similar to Nagatoro with the bullies. Like, oh, you have a crush on Python.
Yeah. And she's like, no, I don't. Yeah. Kubo's not like that.
No.
But
she's elegant in her own ways.
well, I do love that when they finally told her, she kind of broke down.
She realized it
like,
too. Yeah.
You could see the wheels turning, but then she's getting stuck. And it was hilarious.
And then she got jelly and mad when they were teasing her. And I'm like, ooh, that's the first like ever turn she had too. I'm like,
Yep.
I like progressions like those.
Yeah. So I can't. I want it to come back because I want to see what. I just want to watch more of their
Yeah,
relationship.
and I hope it comes relatively soon. I hope it's like not like for like a whole year wait. It's like more
Yeah. Well,
later.
the writers handle this so well
Yeah,
that I just want to watch to see like I'm putting like myself in their hands. It's
yeah,
like, all right, I trust you guys.
yeah,
Tell me the rest of the story.
yeah, and yeah. The anime is so good. I'm like, I don't even want to buy the manga. I mean, I rather pay off with the show.
I'm tempted.
I'm tempted too, and
Yeah,
I
I'm
had
tempted.
I actually before the show debuted, I had it saved in my manga to read like
Mm-hmm.
list I do on my phone. I'm like, oh my god, if only I knew.
Yeah, I know, right? It's like I would have picked this one up.
Yeah.
Yep.
All right, here we
So,
go.
sir, here's your number one.
My number one for the winter 2023 season. Tomochan is a girl.
Okay, that made it to your number one. Nice.
I can't help it. Like even with the tropes that it conveys, even though the dynamics are super out of this world, it's a very very cool show.
Yeah,
In similar to Kubo, how it captured your heart. This one captured my heart.
yeah,
Yeah, because it's not only like the things I like in the animes or this type of show per se, but it works in many facets, and it should be in a contemporary torso like a Toradora, and I'm already giving it high praise. And yeah, you have to have a leap of faith with it. If you've seen a million other shows like these, I understand.
Well, it reminds me of Toradora a little bit.
Yeah.
In the aggressiveness
Yeah.
and the silliness. It's not as
Tomochan or Toradora is definitely a different take.
yeah.
Definitely.
You don't get the long suffering of the
No.
soul
No,
that you
no.
do
Similar
in
like
Toradora.
similar like some My Teen Romantic Comedy.
Yeah, well, that one is a comedy of errors. But I think Toradora is like, oh my god,
Oh yes.
yeah,
Oh yes.
that's a gut wrencher at times.
But Tomo is complete opposite.
Yeah, no, this one's way more lighthearted.
Yeah.
It doesn't take itself too seriously.
Yeah.
It's not trying to be edgy or contemporary.
Yeah.
And it has that feel of like an older, like, like an older manga or an older anime
Yeah.
where it's just like, here's the story. And it does it really well. It takes these tropes and it handles them really well.
Yeah.
And so I'm really entertained. And yeah, I'd really like to see this one. I'm going to watch the rest of the season and I'd like to see more.
And yeah, it even makes you think more of like the chemistry of friendships and buddies. And
Yeah.
I had to think about that too. Like, would I give up, like if I was a friend with a girl, would I give up that connection? And that's more, it's the only show I could think of where it questions that. It really does.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So my number one is one that we already talked about because I just really like the dynamics of this show. And I love that dragon battle. That was pretty awesome.
Agreed.
Uh,
It surprised me too. Yeah.
and it is the magical revolution of the reincarnated princess and the genius lady.
Yeah.
Dude, like I can't like stop when I watch this show. I can't stop thinking about Licorice Recoil.
Yeah. It definitely has that energy.
Yeah, like this is the fantasy version of that show.
Yeah.
And
But
there's like
more girl crazy.
yeah, oh, definitely more girl crazy.
Yeah.
And it just has that moment, like you remember with Licorice Recoil, where Chisato just grabs Takina and picks her up and like twirls her around.
Yeah.
And then when she smacks the girl with the gun, it was just
Moments that you're like, yeah.
moments that got me,
Yeah.
So when she comes crashing into the ball,
To break up the.
well, she's not even trying to do that.
Yeah.
Like she just crashes in the middle of this breakup, and she's like, "What's going on?"
Yeah.
And then
It's a
she's
party
like-
too on top of it.
Yeah, and then she just grabs her like she's the White Knight, and she hops on her broom and flies away.
Let's elope.
Yeah, like that that right there. I was like, "You got me. I'm with you for the rest. Like whatever you want to do, I'm along for the ride." Yeah, that moment, that first episode, just like, all right,
Yeah, and Tomochan, even like I mentioned, it's literally the first show I saw this season. Not thinking twice about it.
mm-hmm.
That was the same pull for me too. I'm like, okay, after the end of that episode, it's doing everything right. It's
Yeah.
working, and I know it's working because I'm becoming that engaged.
Yeah.
And same thing with that show. It's an honorable mention of mine. I forgot to mention that as my honorable mention because there's a lot to pack in, and I feel like there's a couple more episodes that I need in my overall criticism of a show. It's that type of show too. So,
Yeah.
but
I mean, it has strong moments and weak moments. I think
I don't think the weak moments are that weak.
No.
The pacing is the only thing I could think it's kind of weak.
Well, the only thing I think is like the weakness is that the way it jumps between like being this show about the characters
Yeah.
and the examination of like what's going on in their lives and their positions in society.
Yeah.
It goes from being that show to being like a magical girl show.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then back again.
Yeah.
So it's a little bit jarring, but as far as I'm concerned, when it's being one thing, it's great. When it's being another thing, whether it's being the action, it's good. When it's being the self-examination, it's good.
Yeah.
So it's like there's no bad here.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's it. Those
Yeah.
are our top shows of winter 2023.
Yeah, and it's already becoming like an early preview for top of the year.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Well, I don't envy anyone. Like we're gonna have a hard time at the end of the year trying to figure out like what's the best because I think each season. I don't know about the summer season or the fall season, but this and the spring season look like they're gonna be like, oh my god,
They're not stopping.
yeah.
Because this is the same weekend as the Crunchyroll Awards. People catching up with the 2022 shows.
Mm-hmm.
Then on top of it, we have Attack on Titan. Yes, forever top favorite for a lot of anime fans. Another continuation of Demon freaking Slayer.
Yep.
Oh.
Yeah, and so that will lead into our discussion of the shows we're looking forward to in spring 2023. And now we'll be talking about our most anticipated shows of spring 2023.
Man, oh man.
Yeah, it's a good time to be an anime fan. Let's just put it like that.
We've gotten to this point, and a good populace is really in anticipation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So me and Jack, I think we're going to agree on what our most anticipated show is because there's no way after this year's season of that show, there's no way that we couldn't start with this because it's like, oh my God, it is Demon Slayer, the Sword Village arc.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, we're so excited for this because, oh my God.
Mind you, they just did a movie release. I'm still not 100% sure if like they added extra scenes or this and then this of Demon Slayer movie, the second movie.
Mm-hmm.
But it's the finale, essentially, and maybe a recap, a small little recap, and the first episode of the Swordsmith Village. And I feel like that's key to include that because this is hype 101.
Oh yeah, they're building up the excitement for the coming season.
Yeah.
And I don't think it's as developed as Mugen Train was.
Yeah.
But I still think that this would be a fun way to start the season.
Yeah.
Because you get to go see it at the movies, and you get to rewatch the epic
finale of finales.
Yeah, the epic finale of the Entertainment District, which was like insane.
Yeah, it makes Mugen Train kind of like minuscule. It's surprisingly minuscule,
which is insane because it's like now they're getting into the top demons.
Yeah,
and these fights are just like crazy.
And part of me is like, I need a breather.
Yeah,
I need.
Oh yeah. I'm like, are they dead? Are they not dead?
Yeah.
What's happening?
Yeah.
They can't die.
Yeah.
And yet they just get stronger.
Yeah. And that's why I commend the author for concluding the story with the manga. I wholeheartedly think that she made a great call on that because my God, I can't take it's one I can't wait to see the ending of.
It's intense. Yeah. It's intense. And you know that all I can think is like it's gonna be batshit crazy.
Yeah.
And I'm there for it. Yeah. I'm there for it. Like, no matter what happens, I'm like, I want to see what happens to Tanjiro and Nezuko-chan. It's like, I can't. You can't keep me from watching these.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah.
I know. I can't wait. And then other ones are coming on the radar. Once again, we have to mention Attack on Titan, final season, final arc, final something.
Final of the final
Maybe a part 5 for all I know.
of the final
Yeah.
final, and then the epilogue,
Maybe there's going to be
which will be the final.
And there's also a prequel series. Maybe they'll do that. Who knows?
No, what they have to do, like, season 6.5.
Yeah. Or like Neon Genesis, Thrice Upon a Time of Attack.
Why don't they just end it?
Technically, that's the season. Thrice Upon a Time, the Attack on Titan.
Why don't they just end it and then just do a bunch of movies?
No, they did the prequel series. I forget the title of it. Behind the Wall, I think it's called.
Okay.
Yeah. And then, to my surprise, these are 2 seasons there, or 2 new seasons, ongoing series that are doing this the year, or for spring season. Ancient Magus Bride season 2, Dr. Stone. Yeah. And it's technically going to be like a movie, I think. And then Ranking of Kings season 2.
I know you're going to be excited for that.
I was surprised. I thought that was going to be a little bit later, even next year.
Yeah. But here it is.
And another. And Edwin had to educate me in this one. The second season or the prequel series of Konosuba.
Yeah. Dealing with Megamine and how she learned her magic.
Oh.
Yeah. That's going to be fun.
Oh, yeah. And one that Edwin really likes, Tonakawa.
Oh, I'm so excited for this.
Over the moon.
It was one of the most adorable portrayals because in a lot of anime, it's will they, won't they, will they, won't they.
Yeah.
And you rarely get to see like people who have they've already decided to be together.
Yeah.
And they're a married couple. So they're like the cutest married couple like you've ever seen.
They jump through hoops compared to Angel Next Door Spoils Me Rotten.
Yeah. Well, I mean, they're trying to figure where that show is just like the usual tropes,
played out
in that apartment. This is more like, okay, we're figuring out what does it mean to be in love? What does it mean to be a married couple?
Almost like a mythos behind it.
Yeah, well, she's definitely like
from the moon, right?
She might be, she might be a moon goddess.
Yeah.
So there's definitely something going on there.
Yeah.
That they don't really get into. But this is really about like a couple who are trying to figure out married life.
Yeah.
In the most adorable way possible.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm really looking forward to that one because I really enjoyed the first season.
Yeah. And then okay, my mistake, because I was thinking also Duke of Death, but that one's technically summer.
Oh, okay.
Summer.
So you can't include that one, Jack.
Yeah, but at the moment. It's already a precursor for a summer preview. Then, here's one. I think since we were number one, obviously, is Demon Slayer. This one is definitely in the same vein as Chainsaw Man and Demon Slayer. It's Hell's Paradise, Juko Kurokao.
Well, this is the manga you've been reading, right? Yeah.
I have been reading. I'm up to volume 3. I think it's about 12 or 13 volumes at the moment. I think it's going to be a short series, too. It seems like it will be. Because the whole premise of it is about this ninja that's locked up. He had a horrific past. His wife died. And this tribe princess, I'm not essentially sure if she's royalty, but pretty much a tribe leader. Similar to Avatar, how it's set up with different nations. She comes to bust him out of jail cell. She's like, I need your help. Because they have to go to this mysterious island to get called, and then they nickname Hell's Paradise to get the hidden treasures there. Think of it like Battle Royale meets Indiana Jones.
Oh, wow. Okay.
With Avatar, with Samurai Champloo, and with Naruto.
There's a lot going on here, Jack.
A lot going on, but you'd be amazed how it doesn't factor out whatsoever.
Okay.
And it's its own thing.
Weird.
Yeah. Because the first episode is really dark. It reminds me a lot of like the same. I keep on mentioning Berserk, and Berserk is just the god of gods of dark anime. It really is. But it does it in a way where it's almost like an old samurai film. And then the second part totally becomes a 180. It changes the tone. You're introduced to more electric characters. Yeah, I'm sold. And the manga itself, for its art, pretty impressive. And these monsters are really interesting, and the character is designed perfectly. And you get little snippets of each character and their backgrounds and where they're from. And yeah, and if you read it at this point, that's how it was initially sold, because I was working at a bookstore a couple years ago, and I had a coworker who worked at the cafe, and that was the only series he was reading. Everyone else was buying Chainsaw Man. Everyone's buying Spy Family, and for a good reason. But he was the one that was buying Hell's Paradise, and I was like, "Do you like it?" And he's like, "If you like samurai stuff, this is cool shit."
Oh, nice. Okay.
So that's how I initially got sold on it. So
All right, cool. Yeah, I the minute I saw that, I'm like, oh, Jack read that.
yeah.
So I'm like, I know he's gonna be excited about
Yeah,
that.
yeah. And I was hoping to be fall season. And speaking of Chainsaw Man, it's made by Mappa.
Oh, nice.
So that already gives a stamp of
Yeah,
approval.
Mappa's doing. Isn't Mappa doing campfire cooking too?
That as well. That as well. And yeah, they've evolved from their gritty stuff in a way.
Yeah.
So, and the next one, another one that me and Edwin have shared a bond over, and I mentioned this in our Instagram over the voice acting cast, and that's how hyped I am for this one. Otaku Elf.
Oh, that's right. I read the first volume
Yeah.
of that, and I know that you totally fell in love with the show.
Yeah.
Or with this manga.
It's an endearing one, because it's all about this elf that's thousands of years old, and generations upon maidens have helped her at the shrine, but she's developed into the 20th and 21st century with technology, and she became a weeb, otaku video gamer.
Shut in. Yeah. She's like, she embraced the culture so hard that she's a bigger weeb than we are.
Yeah, and the manga's endearing because they really detailed it on her geekdom.
Yeah, they do.
And she even inspects the aspect ratio of certain mecha models.
Yeah,
and orders the pre-order of it. Oh man,
she's a hardcore. She's a bigger otaku than a lot of other people, and it's hilarious because wait, aren't you from another world?
Yeah.
So it's a weird isekai kind of she's been isekai'd here.
Yeah.
But then, she's embraced everything so much where it's like, are you really even from another world?
Yeah. And she's designed similar to Zelda, like this arcane blade chef from Lord of the Rings kind of.
I think that's why you're in love, Jack.
Well, it was an easy sell, especially looking at that cover.
You're crushing hard,
and
man.
she's playing the Nintendo Switch on the cover. I'm like, ooh. and the maiden kind of looks like Ruka from Rent a Girlfriend.
I can see that. Yeah, I can
see
that.
And she's a very interesting character too, because she's super patient with this super nerdy elf.
She's like, how am I dealing with this?
And it's also going to be voiced by the actress that did Ryoko from Kill la Kill.
Jack, that's
And Holo, she also voiced Holo from Spicer Wolf.
Very nice.
Now you want to mention?
Okay, sure. Yeah, I've got some coming up. We mentioned Demonslayer, and Jack mentioned Tonikawa, Over the Moon for You, season 2. So I'm really excited for those. And then the Konosuba prequel. But I'm also, there's another isekai that I watched a few years back called Kuma 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 Bear.
Yes.
This is the second season called Kuma 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 Bear Punch.
Yes.
So I'm excited for that because I really like the original. It was another one of those isekai where, she's OP. She's in this bear suit that gives her OP powers, and she just spends her time making friends and trying to find good food to eat.
Yeah.
Recreating the meals, that the food from our world in this other world. At some point, she opens a restaurant. She makes a tunnel between the kingdom and the coast.
Yeah.
Which totally transforms trade. And there's the adventurers are oh, the monsters. And she goes and she takes them out. And they're like, wait, you did that on your own? And she's like, what are you talking about? Oh, yeah, those monsters that were there? Yeah, I took care of that. And they're like, what?
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's one of those shows, but it's fun. It's cute. There's not a lot of questionable material. So it's something that I can easily recommend to anybody. And it's a lot of fun.
Yeah.
So I'm looking forward to that. I'm looking forward to Mashal, Magic, and Muscles.
Yes.
Which this is essentially kind of like a Harry Potter One Punch Man mashup.
That's the vibe I got too.
Yeah, where he goes to magic school but doesn't have magic, but can do stuff through the fact that he's built up his body where his muscles allow him to compete with these magical, with the kids that have magic abilities.
Yeah.
I'm really curious to see how that works and how they're going to carry that out into a series. But it's been recommended to me like by one of my friends for a while. So I'm glad that the anime is coming out and I can get to watch that. And there's another one called Skip and Loafer.
Yeah, and the same friend recommended that too.
Yeah, he recommended that too. And that looks like a slice of life romance. That looks really cute. I want to check that out. There's another one called The Dangers in My Heart.
Yes, I've read the first 2 volumes of that one.
Yeah, that looks pretty good. I want to check that one out.
It's you'd be surprised. It took me a while. Like I didn't like the second volume that much, but I'm like, I'll watch the anime at least.
Yeah.
The same vein as Sleeping Princess.
Yeah, I'll check it out. And then there's a Psycho-Pass movie,
Yeah,
Providence, coming out.
I forgot to mention OVAs. I had a special shout out for OVAs.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to that.
Did you see the first one, perchance?
No.
I recommend it. I like that one. It's separate adventure at the end of the day.
Okay, I'll check it out.
I'm not sure if it ties in with the manga or like the overall story, but I like it.
Okay, another returning isekai is In Another World with My Smartphone.
Yes, I was wondering if you saw that one.
I'd seen the first one. I'm like, do I want to watch the second season? I don't know. I probably will. So who am I kidding?
It's isekai. You got isekai'd out to the isekai.
I'm gonna probably end up watching it because it's one of the few isekai that I found on my list.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna go with that. But then there's another one called Insomniacs After School.
Yes.
That looks pretty interesting.
That was one I highlighted.
Yeah, I think this is going to be part of Jack's vending machine corner.
Very much so. It seems kind of gloomy though, but I'm like,
it does.
Maybe you need a dour sometimes.
It kind of reminds me of Call of the Night. Too.
Yeah.
So it'll be interesting to see how that goes without the supernatural elements. So yeah, and those are the shows that I'm looking forward to in spring 2023.
Okay. There's here and there ones. Another OVA that I'm surprised that Edwin didn't see. I'm not sure when it's officially out, but I'm like, we'll see. My teen romantic comedy, Snafu Climax.
So that is apparently was material that was included with the release of the DVDs.
Yes.
So I'm not sure how long that's going to be.
OVA, like at least an hour probably.
Maybe not. But I'm like, all right. But what I'm curious about is like, what material does it cover within the show? Because the show is pretty much over.
Yeah.
So it's like, all right, what are you going to rehash? What direction are you going with? Are you going to show us their lives afterwards? It's like, I'm interested into the reason I didn't bring it up because I was like, I don't know what this is.
It might be a similar like conflict with the likes of Mushikan Tensei with the Eris's arc.
The Goblin episode.
Goblin arc, yeah.
Yeah, her Goblin Slayer episode.
That wasn't Goblin slaying that much.
I know. We were cheating. We were, it was false advertising.
Oh, yeah.
Because we were like, oh, wait, this is about this? Oh, okay. To me, it felt more like they were setting up a rival for Rudius.
Yeah.
Than for her, like she didn't notice that dude at all.
Yeah.
But like having a rival for him within the church.
Yeah.
Like like a rival magician. And you're seeing like, okay, this kid might come into play much later on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you check out I got a cheat skill in another world and became unrivaled in the real world too?
I saw that one, but I didn't put it on my list because I'm gonna make as we get closer to the season, I'll make a more detailed list of all the isekai that are out.
And I'm still registering these things, and that's sometimes when you look at the text, it's nothing. You gotta see the first episode.
Some of these titles start to sound the same after a while.
A little bit of that too,
and
especially with isekai.
Yeah, you're like, wait, cheat skill or OP or like you're like, wait, which one am I talking about?
Yeah. I agree. But the two, I'll leave it with the last three because one is My Home Hero. Like I was looking at like the most anticipated, and that was like number one in a lot of lists.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I'm not sure if it started off as a manga. I think it's original production. But two others I want to give a quick shout out towards Oshinoko, and this one's kind of like a weird supernatural. To me, it sounded like more like a slice of life.
Jack, so. This was the new manga from the mangaka that did Kaguya-sama Love is War.
Motherfucker.
Yes.
Motherfucker.
So
I'm so watching this.
well, let me prepare you for this because I'm going to give you a rundown of the first 25% of the first manga.
Oh, you did not like it?
It's not, well, Jack.
I looked at the description alone.
This is I'm sure the description talks a lot about idols.
Yes.
Yes, it talks a lot about idols. What it doesn't talk about is the two reincarnated twins that she has. Yes. One of them was her gynecologist.
Oh, it has it there. Yeah. Now I see.
Yep. So get ready for this, Jack, because
I think I will.
it's gonna be a long, strange trip, sir. Yeah, I started the manga and I was like, it was like we've had experiences on this show where it's like we start watching something.
Onimai, for example.
Yeah. Well, this one's a little bit even like darker and like, well, not darker, but like, what?
Yeah.
You just have to stop sometimes and say, what?
Yeah.
What? Like, like, what? I was just like, I was just like, the whole time I'm reading this, like, what? I'm like, I couldn't like.
Maybe the creator wanted a challenge after doing one of the greatest comedies of all time.
Which is fine.
Yeah.
But I'm just like, you're left with like, what?
Yeah. It's similar to Bill Watterson, the creator of Calvin and Hobbes. He's doing a graphic novel. Dark fantasy graphic novel.
Which is cool, expand your horizons, go in different directions, but like don't leave like your fans saying, what? It's like maybe if I read more of it, I'll have a better like understanding of like what he's going for. But as of right now, I'm just like, what? Yeah.
Alrighty. And finally, Opus Colors. This one was like the most like, it's sci-fi. It's the most like, I had to read it twice or three times. The description through myanimelist.com. What color is the world in which you live? Perception art. It's been around in the art world for about 10 years. It has now completely permeated the world and is a vibrant part of people's lives. Kazuya Yamanashi, the son of Mr. and Mrs. Yamanashi, famous artists and the creators of perception art, recently enrolled in the prestigious art institution Isen High School with his childhood friend Jun, dreaming of becoming a perception artist himself. Kazuya also has another motive, to rekindle a friendship with another childhood friend who drifted apart after an incident 10 years ago. Kiyo, a junior grader at Isekai, majoring in perception art, is the son of a well-known grader and the creator of perception art. So it's a lot of like this whole encompassing thing of like, is it going to be more focus of this like new form of art, or is it going to be about relationships in a sci-fi environment in the future? Curious.
Well, I mean, yeah, I am curious too because I mean, do it yourself.
Yeah, that's what I initially thought of.
Yeah, do it yourself, which I they don't sound similar, but the fact that they're
I know what you mean though.
In a slightly sci-fi world.
Yeah.
It's a slice of life show, but that talks more about like how doing these things with your hands feels more satisfying than having computers do it for you.
Yeah.
And that's why you get that sci-fi element in there. I think it's going to be interesting to see how much the sci-fi element plays into this.
Yeah.
And how much, like, what genre does this fit into?
Almost like the recent one with Techo Mine Overmind.
Oh my god.
Yeah. It's initial hesitation too, because I didn't like that first episode.
That was terrible.
Yeah.
That was like the Scooby-Doo Idol team. Scooby-Doo, Aqua Teen, Hunger Force.
Even more so. Even those shows are more reserved for this one.
Well, it wasn't like that was, it's like.
It was watchable.
Okay. Sure.
But
yeah.
That's, put it mildly.
So we can trash talk that one if you want.
Oh, no,
because
no.
that was another show where I'm like, what?
Yeah.
Like, the guy in Mother's Basement, really, he tackles that one. And it was pretty bland. The fact that 4 androids try to make money as idols was just like, what?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's initially what I got with the description of opus colors. But in a sense, I'm feeling like Edwin said, do it yourself. I'm like, yeah, that's a better description for it.
Well, what I'd like to them to do is maybe like something that maybe is like Vivi,
Yeah.
but maybe without the time travel or something.
Yeah. Just make it of the world.
Yeah. Like I think that Technoid Overmind was kind of stealing from Vivi a little bit.
Yeah.
I got that
Even
feeling.
Tacked Up Destiny, too, I would argue.
Yeah. I don't know if the show gets better as it goes on because
Nah.
I couldn't get past.
That's the only one.
I'm like, I can't get past that first episode.
Yeah.
It was like.
I had to bring it up because of this description. Yeah.
Yeah. No, don't. Yeah. If you guys like it, that's cool. I was not a fan. Yep.
And with that said, that is our overall spring preview of 2023.
Thank you guys. Thanks for tuning in. Yeah, and we'll be back with more episodes of the 950 Club.
Yeah, and please like, subscribe, download, and share. Especially with YouTube. We have a YouTube channel running up, and Jamal's been helping us out with that. And yeah, we're hoping to do some live sessions soon. Not sure exactly when, but we'll update you.
We'll figure out the scheduling, and we'll let you know.
Yeah.
Okay? Thanks, guys.
Goodbye.
All right, bye.